Oh, yeah, because you're a 3-hour difference, so...
Yeah. Yeah, you're late in the evening. I'm kind of afternoon here, so yeah.
So the Finnish contingent has contacted me for Living Greyhawk.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
I got to figure out when I'm going to do it, because it's 7-hour difference, right?
Yeah, but that will be so much fun to talk to some of them. That will be fantastic.
So I got to figure that out.
That was Neri ID, I think.
Yeah, Neri, yeah. And I didn't know what Neri was when he was talking to me. I'm like, what the hell, Neri?
Yeah, Neri, yeah. It was ID, and then they changed
Alyssa.
to Neri.
Yeah.
It was the oldest Canadian.
What's up, Canadian? What's up, Asher? What's up, Excel? Yeah, it sounds like it's all of Scandinavia was that.
Yeah.
How are you all tonight? Starting up a little early. We got David Leonard on tonight for the first part, and then we'll probably have Gary on for the second part. Get through all the sponsor blurb jargon. Uh-oh. What am I supposed to hit? Oh, let's hit this one. Go back and hit that. That. There we go. I surpassed a milestone on YouTube. I surpassed 1,000 subs, which is the same as followers on that, so that's a good thing. Got that going too. Which is a good place. I mean, it's a good repository for vids. You know, and that's a cool thing. Speaking of that, I gotta send Mr. Chuck a text real quick while this is on. Still looking up for Mike.
Or is this link coming on?
What's that? Just waking him up? Oh, it's possible. What's up, monkey? What's going on? Anything is possible. I know we're early. Let's go. That's right. Oh, no. Yeah. I'm going to start singing Prince songs. Oh, no. Let's go. Dun, dun, dun. You did? That's cool. So it's not. How do I put this, Patrick? You are a fan, and I put special sponsor down because a lot of times I don't know what else to put down there. So that's why I'm just chatting here real quick. I don't know what to say on that. You know what I mean? So and sometimes I'm giving yours, and sometimes I'm giving away. I'm giving away the ones that Cannibal Troy gives, and yeah. So. And sometimes I give away a mix of them. So if I give away a Reaper gift certificate along with a, I don't know what the heck to say, because I can only, does it make any sense to only program in one? Yeah, so I agree 100%, man. I completely understand, man. Nah, dude, and everything, Patrick, everything is, everything is so appreciated. What's up, Sean? So here's my question, Patrick. Are you ready for session 0? I'm gonna throw that up. I think it's gonna be Saturday morning. Is that what I've heard for Tim's game? I'm hoping they can hear me. Can you hear me? That'd be funny if I've been talking all this time and they can't hear me. All right, good.
Oh, good.
I was like, oh man, no one's responding.
Yep.
I was watching chat and it wasn't moving anywhere, and I was thinking, am I frozen?
Yeah.
All right, I'll put that in. I can't change it now, Patrick, for tonight, but I will do that. I'll put something like that. That's good. Yeah.
Yep. Excel, if you do that, then Jake will be worried.
You guys could all make me sweat by doing that. You guys are mean. So, yeah. What we'll do is we'll come on a little early and we'll just BS for a little bit, and as people are coming on, but you know, so. So, Monkey, I was like when AD&D came out, because you remember, I think Holmes Basic, you were either what? You could either be Catholic or lawful. Was that it? Or when
Chaotic, lawful,
neutral, or chaotic.
Yeah.
lawful, neutral,
Good and evil were not there.
right? And then when
I think lawful meant good, because like when you read really old articles of the Dragon,
Oh yeah.
lawful is good and chaotic
Yep.
is
Yeah. But when they went in between the tweeners, I loved that when they brought out neutral good, neutral evil, lawful neutral, chaotic neutral. I love those because they really didn't exist in that first time around in AD&D. And then
Yeah. To me it was so. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Anna.
To me it was so kind of. It felt so lacking when they didn't have the evil scale. But yeah. But I agree with you, David. That the lawful were very good ones. And chaos.
Yeah.
Well, even with the AD&D alignment chart, I always got the impression, and also it's like that humans were the center a little bit. You know, it's like you were kind of like neutral good, but you know that was gods way up on the top and way in the corners and so on. And also the people who lived in the outer planes, and also we were all kind of neutral but lawful good neutral. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And I think they kind of nailed that with all the outer planes, like the Happy Hunting Grounds and Elysium and all that, you know. So
Yeah, I like that idea.
thanks, Patrick.
You know, I was reading an article from Gygax himself. Also, I think it was in either 8 or 9, maybe number 9 or number 10, and he was talking about writing about the alignment system and also plus weaponry. And he said that, like once you have gone so many planes of existence beyond the prime material plane,
You lose the pluses.
You lose the pluses.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know? So if you're in the bottom
Yep.
level of the 666th level of the Abyss, your +3 sword is more than 3 planes removed from.
Oh yeah.
And so it's not.
No, it was cool. It's a
Yep.
really,
Yep.
really cool concept.
That became the rule in 3rd edition. I think it became the rule, and I think I'm not sure if it stayed on officially on the books.
No, I think that was all the way back in when Manual of the Planes came out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
It was
That's
that
when
early. Good.
that's when I first remember that was that Manual of the Planes and it was written about in the Dragons, but then they made it official in that book, if I recall.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah.
Jeff probably did a good job in Manual of the Planes in that case too. So many ways.
How you doing, Mike?
Hello.
Just checking something.
Oh, thank goodness it's
Yep. Oh yeah, otherwise we'd be in trouble.
We're early. We're real early. I'm trying to
And
squeeze as much as we can out of David while we have him.
and then hope that Gary will come too, so we can squeeze some content out of him.
Yeah, well, Gary will definitely be on. We talked, when we were talking last night. So
Yep. So I'm not going to be in trouble. So it's good.
You're saying beside your collection, I always see you do this.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I have my collection is over on the other side, so yeah, I should also have it close by. That should be part of the streaming setup that you have your gaming library within one stream.
Mine is in another room. I gave Jay the tiny tour. I grabbed my
yeah,
laptop
it was cool.
and showed him all my shelves. Showed him the IV tucked way down at the bottom, and also it's really hard to get at.
Nowadays, I hardly ever used those.
Awesome. I did not, Patrick. Thank you, though. I got something in the mail today, but it was from Retro Gamer Meth. So I did. I got something, but look, whatever you're sending, I'm looking forward to it. So the only sad thing what's that, David?
Is that a spoiler alert? We shouldn't show anybody or tell anybody about what you got.
I'm gonna pop it up as soon as we come on. I was like, look, because it came in very good condition too. Mike did a great job wrapping pieces of it. I mean, it's so big.
Yeah, he was mentioning to me on Discord also that he was somewhat terrified when he was shipping it that it wouldn't arrive alive.
Yes, Lake Kim. So Lake, yeah, it is huge. Lake Kim, I am, and you'll see tonight, because of course I'll get my spin on this. I'm a huge Serenus person from Dragon 65. Oh yeah. I mean, Serenus isn't in the Deities and Demigods book. The Master of Hunt's kind of like a mini Serenus version, but Serenus, I got a whole specialty druid on Serenus, so and we use it a lot. Let's 8 minutes early, so.
Every time I see that picture now, I think of remember Robin of Sherwood. Remember that 80s TV show?
Yes.
That is actually available on Amazon Prime.
No, I don't have Amazon. I have it on DVD.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I was thinking about watching it again. So yeah.
Did you ever see Rocket Robin Hood? I think that was a Canadian production too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I grew up on that.
Oh my gosh! And he's in outer space. That was so bizarre.
I've never heard of that.
Well,
Rocket Robin Hood.
I think it was them with the same animation firm that did Spider-Man.
Yes, it did.
Spider-Man.
Absolutely, the original Amazing Spider-Man.
And Hercules.
Yep.
With Newt.
Definitely a blast.
We're showing our age now.
We are. We are.
Yeah.
Good evening. I know we're early. We're like 7 minutes early. So
yeah, so we have to babble.
Yeah, we have to babble a little bit. I'll get us caught up here. Yep, absolutely Canadian and Hercules. But there's a lot of those cool cartoons. I think that Rocket Robin Hood goes back to the 60s, doesn't it? Like 69 or 70.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
same because Spider-Man's like 66 or 67, if I recall. Really early stuff. But we're gonna have a great discussion tonight, and I just want to say, David, thanks for hopping on for as long as you can stay. And David's got a lot of his own spin and some great writings on the Flan and Druidism and his take on the Old Faith, which is really cool. And I'm looking forward to getting to that. But while let's wait a minute or two. So this is what Mike Saxton sent. I'm gonna brag him out here. I should be able to pop this out onto the main screen. So our printer's been down, but even if our printer was not down, this would take, and it took Mike 28 days, I think, with all his printers. It would take us 4 months to have printed this. I mean, I don't even know how I could do it in we could have done it in 4 months. So that is going to be, and I think, I mean, you know, it is so huge, Mike, and thank you for your generosity to the community and to my group for. Let me see if I got some better ones here. Let me see about this one.
Is it modular?
Yeah, we're gonna make parts of it. Yeah, like see, we're gonna make parts of it modular so that we can get it into a way so that, you know, first of all, the top does come off in some spots. We want to be able to use the rooms. Bill Master Crafter is going to paint it, Monkey. So we're good there. But just our printer just would not have the capability of doing that much. So Bill will be painting it, and he'll be over here tomorrow night, and he's going to pick it up, and then we're going to work on getting that out within. I'm pressuring him, but like I'd love to have it back in a month. I mean, that's a lot of paint, a lot of priming, a lot of flocking, and there's a whole level that's not even on those pictures. So this may be a better pick. There you go. That shows it from the front view. It's just fantastic. And I just want to say, Mike Saxton and Retro Gamer Math, thank you so very much for doing that for us. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing. And once like I said, once you get your site set up and you're ready to go for commissions, let me know and we'll tout you out there. But that is an awesome thing. And one other thing, if you don't know, a lot of you don't, I'm going to announce this at the end as well. Something happened. Oh, I can't wait either, Mike. I really can't because Bill, you know how good Bill is. Something happened on Sunday night after the show. And a real quick story. What time is it? Okay, we got 2 minutes here before we officially start. We're just talking, and Eric Menke plays and Anna play in the Geoff group, the Living Greyhawk Barrier Geek group, and I said to Eric, I said, why don't we have Tony and Ed jump in and play in and add him in for a session? And Eric comes back to me, nah, I got a better idea. Start a new group with everyone here and run it like you do with the other groups every couple months. And I'm thinking to myself, did you just say invite Ed Greenwood to play in Greyhawk in my campaign? And I'm like, so I said, Ed, what do you think? He goes, hell yeah, I want to play in Greyhawk. I've always been looking forward to playing in Greyhawk. So we got we have. Yes, Mike. Is that insane, Mike?
For Ed Greenwood now.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yes. So the title subject to change, but I wanted to get this up. So Saturday night, May 8th, Ed Greenwood, Tony Winslow Brill, Anna. I added Stella because Stella, I wanted to make it 3 men, 3 women, and have Eric Boyd, okay, and Eric Menke in a brand new adventuring group right around 4th level. Yes, I will have Ed Greenwood playing in my game. Now, if you ever told me when I was a little kid that I'd be DMing for Ed Greenwood, I would tell you that's insane. That's crazy. So I tried to explain it to my friend. I said, that is like you writing lyrics and here you go, a Canadian band, your favorite band, Neil Peart and Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee would play this song in concert in a concert in Rio de Janeiro or something. It's the same equivalent, man. I mean, it's just like insane when you think about it. So I'm really excited, and we have the. I can't TPK them. Can you imagine me attempting to TPK Ed? So I have all the characters, the classes and races and stuff, except for Ed. So we're working on that. So I just wanted to get that in a shout out. So I'll do more at the end. But all right, the Old Faith. Mm-hmm. So David, thank you for coming on. What do you think about when you think about Greyhawk and the Old Faith off the bat?
Oh well, I always think it also that the Flan are the ones that are really involved with the Old Faith. Not so much the Iridians, not so much the Soul. This predates them because the other ones have their own pantheons and such. Whereas the Flan, they are the Druids. They are the Rangers. They are the ones who are the ones who are that invested in it.
Cool. So, but do you agree that you have to dig for this information and you've tried to compile it yourself, right? It's like all over the place, little nips here and there. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you so very much. So what have you done to do that?
A lot of searching. No, it's all over the place. But I also incorporated thoughts and also of the philosophy. It's looking into the Christian myth and then so on, and also see how all that works together and also with it. But there's a lot that's all over the place. And also it's in the box sets. It's in the Living Greyhawk journal. It's in even UK1 because there's that English green god as well. He's the green man. He's like a little god, so to speak. He's only seems to be in this one tiny little portion of a valley. But then there's a lot about the Old Faith and mentioning and things like the Temple of Elemental Evil. Where they mention all about all the people and also who are very much involved with the Old Faith and such.
So, in your game, have you expanded it beyond the valley? The Green Man. Do you think it should be utilized in other places?
No, I think he's very rooted in his one spot. It's like that's
Okay.
the people who live there, and also like the tribal area in that zone, and also it's like they envisioned their green god, and that's what they
Okay.
got. So
Interesting.
I'm kind of like on the reverse. It also it's like on the way a lot of people think. I believe it also it's like that you know the cultures create the gods and not the other way around.
Hmm.
Okay.
You know?
I
Because
agree with you, David. I totally agree. Yep. Hmm.
so if you go way back at the beginning, and also it's like and even some of the other what was it in second edition I think it was where they had the the twin serpents that were spiraling, and they're the ones who created the universe, so to speak. Well, so in my vision, at the beginning, it's like there was, it's very Lovecraftian.
Adrian.
It's like there was just the universe, and it began to dream, and at that point it split. So you have what is and what is not, and we name them. We
Sure.
believe it's like that's the green god is life, and that then the other is entropy, or the evil, or death, and so on. And also it's like that's the other side. It also the elemental eye, like whatever. It also it's like, but these things predate even the concept of good and evil. So like, I mean, they have no concept of it because nature has no concept of what good or evil is. It also like animals kill each other or eat plants and so on. And also it's like it's just the way things work. Whereas so you have the green god, what is, and it dreams further, and it sees all these possibilities, and it continues thinking more and more and more possibilities. And also like and entropy on the other side, oblivion would rather we go back to the beginning, that original spark, because only then, and also it's like you have the perfection of all the possibilities happening at the same time.
So
That's the way I want to look at it.
Hmm. David, it's eerie how similar I look at it the way you do. I also have exactly the same timeline, meaning the gods are coming from the thoughts and the dreams and the aspirations of mortals, so to speak. And yeah, so yeah, it's so similar. I played with the almost identical ideas. I'm so glad that I wrote them down, because otherwise I thought I would have stolen them from you right away, so to speak. It's a very similar thought process. I love it. It's awesome.
it's cool. And I like what Will. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm having a little technical issue here. I'm good. It should be good now. Will stated, he wishes the Green Man was expanded a little bit more, just because it's such a cool name. Because the Green Man comes from real lore in our time, correct? I mean, I don't know
It's
what
an English thing.
it's English. Okay, all right, that's cool. So
Yeah.
and I know that in the Relics and Rituals books in third edition of Sword and Sorcery, which I use a lot, they have I think they have a lot of those. The Green Man is actually what? Which one is it? Is it Beyond the Crystal Cave? The Green Man appears.
Yes.
Okay, so Green Man actually appears in Beyond the Crystal Cave. That's the one. All right. Yeah. What is the third edition one I'm thinking of that Bruce Cordell did? It was the top third.
Sure.
Yeah, he did a third edition kind of one like that. And I thought that, yeah, but I think it's Beyond the Crystal Cave is where the Green Man actually appears in it. Am I correct? Which is cool. But UK, yeah, okay,
And I don't think he's in anywhere else.
right. So
That's why I say he's a small god.
very small.
He's a god right where he is. But if he were to leave the valley, no one else would ever know about him. So he would just not really exist outside of that valley. Because if humans or the elves or whatever else, if they create the gods, then they exist where they are, where they're worshipped.
Well,
And
then
so-
is the Green Man sort of then like the Earth Dragon, a local
Yes,
nature god?
Good
Yeah.
point, Mike.
Yeah.
It's a very good point.
Yep. Hmm.
The Green
Only
Man
stands
is
to reasons there's more of them.
the Green Man is kind of that's and he's more benign than the Earth Dragon, obviously, or the
Right.
people that worship him are more benign than the Earth Dragon cult.
Yeah.
So that's a great point. Very, very good point on that. All right, so the giveaway tonight is at least $25 gift certificate. It's not a coupon, it's a gift certificate for CSL Entertainment, courtesy Cannibal Eridar, and I'll change it from special sponsor to community donator, Patrick, I promise next time. But yeah, so you can get one of these almost at cost, right? At zero, right? Horror in the Holes if you want, or any of the other great modules that Carlos Lysing CSL Entertainment has. So just note that it's a great giveaway tonight, and then we may add something else in there too. So awesome. So
It's quite odd though. And also throughout the editions, I don't think that Biore is much thought of. It's like it's
Correct.
always Obed Hay. Although Biore is always mentioned, I think, as a greater god or goddess,
Yeah.
and Obed Hay is a lesser god.
Hmm.
So, like, where did she go? Yeah.
Well, I see Biori is the planet itself, and Ubadhai is the god representing the life of the planet, so to speak. So it's kind of the nature. So yeah.
Well, I took some social studies back in university and such, and also it's like, and I just remember how when one time before, like pre-Christianity, back in pagan days, there was the sacred male and the sacred female, and the sacred female, everybody knows that little statue, the
Yep.
headless pregnant female and such, and so I see that is Biore. So it's like the mother and the father, the sacred male, sacred female.
Yep.
And so that's like us, the Flan, envisioning what the green god actually is. It's like in taking that the idea that nature is everything and everywhere, sort of like the force, and then placing ourselves on it. And so now then it becomes sacred male, sacred female.
So I had to do some reading to refresh my memory on Old Faith and all that, because it's not really something that I use on a regular basis, if even rarely.
Okay.
And there was one little thing that caught my eye in the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, and it said that the cult of Biori was once the most worshipped deity on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess going back, it's pre all these other cultures, deities. You say the cultures create the deities. So it's just interesting to think that Biori might have been the only god tooling around at one point.
And we're assuming that is when there's really only Flan in this area, right? In the area of
the Flaness, right.
So history-wise, I know that were the Flan, David, and I know you've done a lot of migration study, are the Flan widespread, or are they still pocketed when Iridian and Sewell started making their marches out? I mean, there's a couple kingdoms here and there.
But we could say that there's a few organized kingdoms.
Okay.
Alyssa and so on, and also it's like, but like it may be up in Parentland and whatever else, but they're still pervasive. It's like they didn't go anywhere. They were, as we remember, they came across. They spread across the entire Flaness. They mixed well with the elves, and it wasn't until Vecna, and his 600-800 year long war or something against the elves then everything all collapsed. And also they were tired of everything, like sorcery.
So
they were tired
Asher mentioned Solomon Itar, and those were gone before the migrations, correct?
The Great Migrations, yeah, they were gone.
Yeah.
But that's the Great Migrations, but not the Flan Migrations. The Flan Migrations and also were because remember it also that Vecna was invited, as a hostage, really. And also it's like to what's his name? Also the Elven King, the one who was up in the my memory. But
okay.
So he had he was doing what ancient cultures and Earth used to do. But also they used to bring, people, the children and such, and also and foster them. And in reality, they were, hostages, to stop, wars and so on, and also, but also to teach. And remember, then Vecna went home, and that's when he built his tower, and began his empire, because he found that. What was the book? Might know it also, but it had to do with Therisden. He read a special book, and anyways, it also then that was at that point. It also that he didn't go back. He started his occluded empire, and then he began his war against the elves. So,
So if we so it's
at that same time, though, you have to remember at that same time, Tostenka was being built. Was already built.
and what is that?
Tostenka,
Skellinghold, yeah.
Skellinghold. It was up in the the mythic kingdom up in the Griff Mountains, and why they went there, who knows? It also for whatever reason, the early peoples were putting everything up in the in mountains. Yeah, it's keep scrolling in around the F, and Griffs.
Yeah, you have
somewhere
it
around there. And also that's
zoom
where
in now and you will see it.
That's where Haraji.
I see it.
Beartooth went
There it is.
on his mission.
What year's that? Roughly.
Haraji? That was around 520.
Okay. All right, so it's not that. It's post Hateful Wars.
Oh no! He went to find it. He found ruins.
Okay.
And he came back with golden baubles, and then everybody in his group was dead within a year. But
Okay.
Tostenka was built around. Ooh, good lord! It also it's I think it's put in somewhere around 11,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Minus 11,000 CY.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's pre Sol Louis calendar.
It's way back there. So,
it's way back.
And then Caraptus came to Tostenka, and he brought his demons with him and so on. Of course, he brought his his evil gnomes with him as well, his bodyguards. And he said to them, and also that he would protect them, and also because he sent these things first, and then ever greater plagues hit the city. And also it's until he became the protector, and then after about a few 400 years, and also they finally had the champion and kicked him out, and that's when Caraptus left and went to the White Plume Mountain.
Cool.
So there are other kingdoms. It wasn't just them.
Okay.
And then you also had the Coltons. We have to believe that they were up there at the same time, because Caraptus had an entire he had his empire, which was all around the Rakers and the Griffs.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 and Radek and up in Stonefist and the BK, that was all his. The north, and a portion, I guess, the Bone March.
Okay.
I'm inferring here, because I'm not sure where the Elven Kingdom, where Alyssa ended.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We see that little dot in the middle of that forest. And also, that's where the city of Summer Stars. Is that what it was?
No, that's down in Adri.
That's in the Adri. So
Yeah,
we know
but
that's
maybe
where
it reached all the way up to the Gamboge. Might very well.
Talking about here, right?
Yeah.
Bitterness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where the Elven kingdoms were ending, but they were contracting at that time. Right?
So, as an aside, Tostenka was founded by Pelorites, right, and is known for its ziggurats, and who is known for inverted ziggurats. Seeker, you got me.
So this is all Flan. So they had their faith at that time, but you also every time that we ever mention, even in things like the elemental evil, the Temple of Elemental Evil, and also they talk about all these the older peoples, were always you know, the ones who were farming and such. And also, they're the ones who were always the, you know, like the old faith, and that's where the druids are, and so on. So, you know, I just place the Flan with the, you know, with druids, because, you know, the Iridians don't seem like tree hugging types. You know,
Oh, I
and
agree
neither do the Sul,
100%. Yeah.
and neither do the Sul. You know, it's like they were
They-
off, and also it's like doing their empire
Yeah.
building. And the Flan were kind of all across the Flaness, and they were, you know, like I'm assuming that when they left, it also it's like they were far more hunter gatherers until they began, because it took them about like how many years? It also it's before since they left before Harada was founded. It was like 100 years or so. So they were moving, and that's more hunter gathering than empire building.
Okay. It just makes sense too if it's the Old Faith, and those are the ones that are the ancient peoples that are in this area. I mean,
Mm.
you know, just as
And it kind of makes sense why 10 is the one of the strongholds for Flan even into modern times, or were until Ayus wiped them out.
Oh, until we
or
had
the-
a bunch of alcohol at a bar one night at you know, and
Oh,
Coleman
yeah,
and
that's true.
Eric
Yeah, now
Morona
we
said,
know. Yeah.
"What can we do to 10?" And you know,
Yeah.
and
So that's why. Yeah, I wrote in my little piece that no one knows, but we actually do know why he did it. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah.
So here's yes, Casey laughed on that one. Here's a question. I saw Tharsden with the inverted ziggurat. Is Tharsden the antithesis to the Old Faith in the ancient negative 11,000 year time? Is that an assumption?
He would definitely be there.
Okay.
You know, it's like because but the eldest elder evil in my thought is not the elder, you know, the elder eye, but it's the elemental god.
The elemental god.
I think he predates, and I'm thinking he's like, you know, close to the spark of entropy.
Okay.
Closer, because he's less sentient.
Yeah.
I equate him more with, you know, like Lovecraftian Azathoth. You know, like not particularly, you know, aware of everything that's going on around him, and also it's like, but he can react. You know, he's that old, and also that he doesn't even really recognize that we exist, whereas Tharsden does. So that would make Tharsden a far younger evil than the elemental god.
So Tharsden is like Sauron compared to Morgoth.
Well,
In a way, yeah. Mm-hmm. But
you could
I
put it
also
that way.
make
Also-
it.
I see, you know, like Tharsden being more like, you know, like you know, Morgoth, but also it's like the elder, you know, with like the elder human evil, you know, whereas, you know, if you're familiar with Lovecraft, Azathoth is you know, blind, and you know, it's like he's nothing. It's like he's like this thing at the center of the universe, and he dreams the universe, and there's all these things that are floating around him with a cacophony of music to keep him lulled in sleep, because the moment that he awakes, the universe ceases to exist because we're his dream. That's Lovecraft. So I see that in my world, you know, the elemental god, you know, the elder elemental evil, elder elemental god is that sort of thing at the center of the universe. Because if you recall how like in the G series, you know, when you touch the altars,
yeah,
you know, like it would like you rolled randomly on whether or not it even recognized that you even did it. And if you did, and it did come out, it could kill you, or drag you in, or give you a boon, or ignore you altogether. It's almost like it doesn't even care whether or not you exist or not. You know, whereas Tharsden is just the ultimate destroyer.
Got it. That's a good point. I mean, I love the elder elemental god. I never thought of it as the first evil, the greatest evil, though. Never, but it's a great point.
I don't know whether or not Mr. Gygax agreed or not. It's like he saw I've read his stuff, and also where he kind of thinks of the elemental evil as sort of like a Kronos figure, you know, from Greek mythology, and also where and he equates Therisdon as being, you know, the entropy that wants to destroy everything. So, but that's his take. He gave us this and said, "Do with it as you wish." But I keep going back to the idea that I think the Flan are kind of like the Druids and the Old Faith and so on, and also because when I think about the Iridians, when I think about the Soul, I think of like knights in shining armor and such. And also it's like with their heraldry and such, and also in the Flan, really, other than 10 kind of emulated the Great Kingdom in its way. It was the more civilized country, whereas all the other ones, were not. That's why they just kind of swept them aside. They weren't organized and such. So, I think that the Flan were the Druids. The Flan were more or less the Rangers, and the Soul and the Iridians and such. It's like they're the ones that also with the heraldry and the horses and the shining armor and all the pageantry and so on, whereas you're more likely with the Flan to see barbarians and rangers and druids and such. I know they have their own pantheon, they have Pelor and such, but also it's like, but I think that was something that they developed more recently as time progressed. If you go back further in their time, then it's more like animism, and that's where the elder, like the elder god and the elder evil, the green man and the elder evil.
Yep.
The green god and such. That's the way I look at it.
All right, so I'm going to, while we have David, if you're okay, I'm going to ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
Is the green man and this person the same? The master of the hunt in the Celtic?
No.
Okay, elaborate.
Well, the green man seems to, be all about frothing beer in his pictures.
Okay. Okay.
He's more of a nature and a bountiful god. Where I'm not sure with the hunt, that's kind of like nature's retribution, isn't it?
Yeah. I just was curious though because it's localized, and that maybe I'm thinking on that aspect because you got the Earth Dragon, you have the Green Man, you have in my game the Master of the Hunt in the Vestvi, deep in the Vestvi Forest. So I was just curious if like this Finnish aspect of would be something similar, but you're right. It's a different. It's a little different as far as.
Maybe you could tie the Wild Hunt into the Horn Society. Just going by that illustration there.
Possibility. And then you have this individual who leads the hunt sometimes, and that's Serenus, right? And Serenus is like evil, and it's not evil, but he's like nature at its most animalistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like a tornado that is arrived. That is arrived.
He's
right.
The horned one. He's the horned one.
Yeah. So, and I use this one a lot in my campaign, in my Greyhawk campaign, especially in the Vestvi Forest as well. So I was wondering if my point is maybe not the same, but it's kind of the same thing where you have a localized deity of the Green Man's in one area and this could be in another, and you could have them all over the place. You could have other aspects. I know it seems like a lot of the druidic deities are just forgotten. Besides Obadiah. I mean, Obadiah knows the Shalom, right? But just because he's in all the publications, I think. There's no pictures of Biori anywhere except for fan art. I can't find any, right?
That's because she's supposed to be the Earth. The Earth.
Yeah, she's the planet.
Right. Well, that's why I found this one. I found that one. An aspect of Biori. So.
Well, I found one too. I put it in my blog, and also I don't have it up real for you, but it's in the part 1.
Okay.
Very, and she looks like pretty much like a pregnant Earth woman.
Right, almost like a Buddha quality, right? Because I've seen that kind of stone idol aspect. So you say Green Man and Serenus is the same, Shane? It's interesting. Yeah, maybe in a different worshipped aspect. Who knows? But I'll go over what later on what my theory is on that. But so David, I know we have you for a limited time, so I'm trying to milk as much as I can out of you. So let's talk about 576 on Greyhawk and where you see Flan and where you see Old Faith if you're campaigning in that time period onward. What do you think?
Well, I would suggest also it's like that. It's wherever the Druids are, and wherever people are closest to the land, that's where the Old Faith is going to be strongest. So if you got to this, let's just say that 10 was not decimated, you're going to see a whole lot more Pelor, there than you're going to ever see, Green God or Obedhe or Biore and all. It's like, but mind you might because whichever the ones and also that the way that there's certain gods that even though they were Flan or they were Sul, they became kind of common.
Okay.
So that's where like the Flan gods are considered adopted and or fine, but the peasants, the people who are closest to the land, they will worship to Pelor, but in their hearts they are all about the Old Faith and the Druids and such.
Marika, which is the deity in N1? Is that Marika? Cult of the Reptile God has that deity that was created. I think it was, wasn't it?
She's Orid, isn't she?
Yeah, I think she's Iridian too. Yeah.
So she's not that's kind of their for harvest fertility god, where she could either be a hag or a beautiful woman.
Right. So, David, when you DM and play, do you have gods? A lot of, should I say, are druids actively in your adventuring in your games?
Well, remember, it also it's like that. My campaign was up in that top corner, and also Radek, and also where the where the Timberway meets the meets Fruitsy, and that river valley, and also that comes spilling out of the Kelton Pass. So that's where all I was, and also so you can imagine there's not going to be a whole lot of shiny armors or horses rolling around there. And also it's like where all the heroes are going to be, the barbarians, the rangers, so on, and also like and the druids. The druids are going to be like there's going to be a grove nearby. Then always a grove nearby. There's going to be, the temples in my area up there. And also it's like will be the Orids or the for the Suls, because the Sul in my world above Marner, that's where if you scroll in, and also you're going to see all those freeholds and so on. It's like in Radek. And I place those as when Sir Radek came up and conquered all this lands, those were the Sul barbarian headmen. Like the like the what's the word? And also it's like, well, you know what I mean, the Jarls and such. And also, and so those families continued to rule in that zone. So those are going to be all Sul gods. But up in the mountains, in the hills and such, that's where they would have pressed all the Flan. So they're going to still be around, and they will be on some islands, and they will be. It also it's like in scattered about all over the place, and that's where once again that's where the the druids are going to be deep in the forest, where there's going to be where the Flan still are.
Okay.
The Sul aren't going to care about them, and up in my towns, way up at also like where with Newport and Riverport, way up close to the if you follow that bay all the way up to the top, right where the rivers spill out.
Yeah.
That's around there. That's where Newport is, and also where that conjunction is, and then where it looks like there's a thickening, there's a lake up there.
Yep.
Well, that's Riverport, and so the temples that are going to be around there are going to be Orid, because the Great Kingdom, while Radek was still Great Kingdom, and they began to find gold and such. And also, it's like they come up there, and so there's going to be commerce gods and temples and stuff like this. It's like the towns will be Orid, but in the Timberway, that's Flan land.
So, and it sounds like you got some things you can add here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That aren't on the map. Yep. So, Patrick Canadian says Green Man mythos stretches back past Stonehenge in England. Or on the island there. I did not know that. Very cool.
Well, he's a primal god, right? It's like he is the land.
Okay. Which means
we just place a face on him afterwards. Before that, it also I think the things like the Green Man would have developed out of animism. the spirits in the rocks and the trees and so on.
Okay. So, David, I know we got you for a short amount of time. You want to say anything else in closing before you have to bolt?
All right. Well, like I said,
You can stay as long as you want, man. I'm not kicking you off. You can stay all night if you want. You know that.
Yeah. My thought is, it also is that like the eldest gods, even the eldest evils, we consider them evil, but they're just not even aware that we even exist, and that makes them evil in our mind. And so people would say for the for the green god, and such, we say that they're neutral, and they are neutral because they don't care whether or not you personally live or die. You are part of the biosphere.
Okay.
And so it's like, so we say that that's, we always apply neutrality to things like the Druidism, but what is death? Well, death is just entropy, like the not being anymore, reaching out and grabbing you and pulling you back at all home, so to speak. It's like it's not evil either. It just saw a different possibility, for endless possibility, as opposed to, if we allow law to keep going, sooner or later you're going to end up. But also, it's like with what's your favorite monsters, the Modrons?
Oh my God! So you were listening Sunday. Oh my God, I hate those things. A 2x4 attacks me. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
So
Oh my God.
no, but it's like they're geometric figures. And also, but if you remember the Elric stories from a long time ago, it's like the Moorcock stories. If law won, everything would be just staid and boring. Everything would stop because they had reached perfection. And then you had chaos on the other side, and they wanted everything to change constantly.
Right.
And you can't exist in that because it's just entropy. So in the middle, you have the neutrality. And also, like, and that's where, you have, constant evolution and change, but at a slow enough pace. And also that, but it's still, you're still grounded in reality. And that's the way I kind of look back at what is and what's not. What happened to be the green man, like, the green god, which is what we would call, because it's all existence and life. Without it, we wouldn't exist. And then on the other side, you have that oblivion, the entropy, whatever you want to call it, that it's not evil. It doesn't even hate us. It just doesn't care. It wants to go back to that perfection of the moment before law began to limit the possibilities of everything that could happen. So that's, what I mean? Like, it's not even, they're not even thinking about whether or not they're evil or not. They just see us and they go, oh, well, that's not the way I would see it. Gotta go.
It's all, you're almost doing Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in that theory. I mean, I hate to use that terrible analogy, but like, everything needs to die and we just need to start over, kind of. And that's kind of, it sounds like what entropy, an entropic god wants, right? Is just to go into that area where anything's a possibility.
So we would see, something like, Therisden and go, oh my God, it's like it wants to destroy everything. It's evil. Well, when, Therisden wouldn't see himself as evil. He
Right.
just sees the universe and says, I don't like it. Yeah. And if you've been around since the beginning, then to them we don't really even exist, because highest magic, you got to think, it also like is almost like the speed of light, but in this case you have the speed of magic. So the highest magics stop life. They obliterate. They disintegrate. They stop time. And also, it's like they wish. They create brand new possibilities. They literally, and considering, I think, it also, there's probably even time travel spells and such. And also, and these are the highest levels of magic. And so, if at the highest levels of magic, time even stops, then you're at that point where all time happens at the same moment. So as far as, say, Therisden's concerned, we haven't even begun to exist from creation.
David, that was deep.
Mm-hmm.
Philosophy.
On another note, as far as when you get to the Druids, and we're talking about Druidism in the game of in the world of Greyhawk, a true neutral character, this is my opinion, is the toughest alignment to play. It is, because you in your good versus evil struggle, where does it fit? You know, it's tough. It's tough to play that.
I don't know if you can even play that.
True,
And
true.
even Morton Kanan, who's apparently, you know, like one of the great, you know,
Manipulator.
like, well, yeah, he's the one who knows it's like, I'm all for the balance. Well, you know what? It's like evil and the Flaness never seems to require his aid. So he always seems to fight for the forces of good, never for the forces of evil. So I think that's just a cop-out.
Okay.
I simply see neutrals as the one
Great.
that are don't really have an alignment. The ones that don't take a stand, they are the bystanders. They're the ones that don't engage, or the hermit sitting on and just rambling about things, and that will be a true neutral.
Well, it's almost like 4th edition's unaligned.
Yeah.
You know, because, okay, if you're true neutral, so, you know, laws exist, fine. But, you know, it's like you need to balance that with, you know, like individual freedoms. But also it's like, you know, you want to be good, but at the same time, and also something's destroying something that you love, you will go and kill it. Yeah. Which is an evil act. You know, so that's kind of, you know, allows the, you know, you to do anything you want, as long as you don't play chaotic evil. And call it neutral.
So when I developed the Avenger class, which is a druid with some limited elementalist spells, and they tend to have a causal druids, you know, I made the option for neutral good or neutral evil, depending on your ethos and what your plan is. Like if your plan, and it's also always it's a human concept, right? So if your plan is you're an Avenger and you're neutral evil, and you want to purge the entire Vesphi of every non-indigenous creature in it, humans, whatever, that could be considered evil, right? Because you're you know. So that's, or if you're a neutral good one, you want to purge from all the IU's invaders. From the human aspect, that would be considered good. So there you go. I mean, so there is that it's really hard to play that true neutral. It just is. So, but cool. Wow, it's good to see that you use druids in your game, I
was always a fan of the Celtic mythology. You know, even when I was during the homebrew, I'd also try to you know, wrap it all in there.
Same here, and look at this. This is my beat up 1st edition. Okay, so the one I've always used, and the only one they're allowed to touch, my players, and you know, I love Finnish and Celtic in here. So, but we tend to go a little more Finnish than we do on Celtic deities, but
just I like the Finn as well, because it's like it wasn't
Norse light.
It was Nordic, and it wasn't, you know, the same tired names. You know, it's like constantly using Loki and such, and considering most people, you know, they didn't have the same weight.
Oh, I agree.
Loki would have.
I agree. I mean, I love the stories too in the deities demigods book about the Finnish deities. I love the Vanamoinen, Lemminkainen. You know, they're all really great stories. And the heroes in the Finnish are human. A lot of there's a lot more heroes in that than there is in the Norse. They tend not to be. They tend to be all god status, which is kind of what drew me to the Finnish as well. I think was that. But the Celtic has just a place because it has such. It feels like that Old Faith, you know. And once again, before we had the Old Faith deities, that's all we had was the deities of demigods book. We didn't have Obadiah written up, you know.
And you know, Cuchulainn didn't even need another 299 guys behind him to stop the army.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a great article in Dragon 65, which kind of and I have it here. So, Mike, Anna, any comments on David's commentary so far?
I think it's rather cool. There's some similarities with the way I've played it, used it, but there's some differences too, and it's kind of cool. I definitely agree that you have the kind of take inspiration from old Celtic and old Norse and really old various European lore from back in the day, so to speak. And I like to play the Flan and Druidism as its own faith, so to speak, and that also that I think that if you take the Druid class, I think it's a perfect example of what a specialty priest class should be. Well, okay, there you have it.
So that is from January '84 Dragon. It's separate from the other ones. It's Cuchulainn by Roger Moore.
Yeah.
So there are stats on him.
Yeah.
Because and it says he was the offspring of the Celtic deity Lugh and a mortal woman named Deltshire, the sister of Conor, king of the Ulaid people of northeastern Ireland. So, yep.
Well, one thing I like about from listening to Legends of Lore all this time, but also from Anna's idea that the hierarchs, like the Horn Society, are the Flan's boogeyman, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And it ties in with a lot of my mythology. It also about Caraptus. It also over in the from the Griffs. It also because the reason why the Coltons, and because I see like that they would have been like even Lek would have been way more Flan than anything else. And so, yeah, he was with the Rovers, but only because they kicked him out, and then he came back and conquered the Coltons, and killed them all. And they learned that sort of cruelty from Caraptus's empire. So then when Caraptus left and came to the to White Plume Mountain, he brought his special brand of evil all over again. And the Flan that were living there learned that same level of evil from him, and they became, the hierarchs, the Horn Society.
I see the Flan as a people and a culture smart enough that they utilize both good and evil for the purpose of survival, so to speak. So that's to me, that's the part of the neutrality, meaning you have the good side, you have Beery and the fertility, meaning that when you want your fields, meaning the Druids, when they want to, someone wants to marry, or they want to have good crops and they want to help out people get injured and all that, meaning the neutral good Druid, like Jeru in Hamlet, for instance, the cute, nice guy that is the or woman or man Druid that is the pillar of the community and the protector of the community and all that. That's a good side of the Old Faith. But I also see that there is a dark side to the Old Faith, and they were the Flans that were used to, the Flans that were so bad that you couldn't have them around in society, the pure evil ones, the totally greedy ones, the nut jobs that were the menace in any society. The Flan found a way to incorporate them and have the purpose. They became the representatives of the dark side of the faith, so to speak, the ones that and the Flan used them as the ultimate weapon to preserve the Flan. And so when the going got tough, they called in the horned ones, so to speak, and they were the ones that did all the despicable evil acts against the enemies, internal and external, against the Flan. And there's like multitude. And I wrote, go to my Patreon blog. I wrote a little article but I kind of jotted down the points that I tie in a lot of the history to the horned ones. But to me, it's kind of they represent the other side of nature. The nature is the growing side, so to speak. We have Beori, Ubadhai and stuff, but then you have the decaying side. You have and Palor is the side of the sun, and Rao is the wisdom. But then you have the other side of nature, the decaying side, the death and all that. And then you have Nerul, Zugtmoy, and Orcus and a bunch of other demon lords and others that they worshipped and kept in the back pocket, so to speak, and they used it throughout history to defend themselves. And so I don't see, and I see that as part of the Flan culture. They saw that was one tool that kind of tied in and was useful. I don't think they saw it as evil per se. It was horrible, despicable deeds, but they were done in order to protect themselves. And that's why I see the lure in evil is not really, well, the lure to become evil is when you see it as a necessity. And that's why I wanted to kind of promote the idea that the evil is seen as useful. And that's why it spreads, so to speak, because people see that evil is a useful tool. And the Flan played with it over and over again in history.
So
So yeah.
we had a question from Mattias, and I want
Mhm.
to, this
Yeah.
is going to be a tough one. How I think it's a tough question. How do you role play a Flan Druid? I mean,
I think it's fairly easy if you take a normal druid, meaning play him neutral good. He or she is the pillar of the community and kind of an all-in-one priest and the one that takes care of all the spiritual needs and problems of the community, especially like a farming community or hunting community, meaning it's the one that helps them out with all the practical things like healing a little bit here, blessing there, removing some poison, someone eating something stupid, and all these kind of practical matters. And I see them as practical, down to earth priests that are there to protect. And then when the village get attacked by some renegade thugs or whatever, then the druid is there to might be the spellcrafter. You can call in an insect plague. You can create some pit traps or whatever the spells are, so to speak. You can, and then you heal the village warriors and you help to find. And you can also track prey to make sure that and to guide the hunters to what to hunt, so you don't hunt the wrong thing, so to speak. So you hunt animals that you have persistent hunting, so to speak. So you only hunt and fish in more, so there's always more to fish next year and stuff, to keep track of how much game there is in the forest, so you don't overhunt and all sorts of stuff like that. And then when they level up, and they can get their shape change and stuff, then you simply become an animal to go out and talk to all the animals and look at the plants, listening to the plants to make sure that the nature around the village and the community is kind of up to par. There is no curses, no diseases, no horrible beings that come in and knock down all the trees, whatever, and stuff like that. So the protector and the guide, the person that guides the community and is the wise person in the community. That's how I see a druid
so
in the setting, so to speak.
I want to point out a couple things.
Yeah.
For me, you described a cleric. Just
Oh
then.
yeah, I see a
could be.
druid as a cleric.
Okay.
It's just a specialty priest. Exactly.
But
But remember, it also the druid, it also is very concerned with the health of the land. You know,
Yeah,
like
mhm.
above
Right.
and beyond, even the like, and he wants the community to live in you know, in balance with the land.
Exactly. Yeah, meaning
it's
long-term
even-
existence.
Right.
Meaning the community is supposed to be there in 1,000 years. So we,
And remember,
can't.
that, like, they're not. Remember, if you look back even at the very, like, the first edition players
Hamlet
handbook, it also
Hamlet has
Druids.
a druid in it, a huge
Yeah.
druid in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And you know, and then but remember, it also, it's like what they kind of said about it was that, you know, if evil begins to show up, but also the druid isn't going to be so stupid that he's not going to do a kamikaze brown on it. It's like if they're destroying things and he can't do anything about it right now, he will get revenge later.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so I get the idea. It also, it's like that, you know, that the druids might have been the ones that also, it's like, to help stir up support at the beginning before Pellar and all those other gods decided it also was time to put down the Temple of Elemental Evil, because they were there first. They're on the ground floor.
Yeah.
But they don't have, a lot of times they don't have the army, because like they're, you know, with the earth.
No, but they have a network, meaning the druids have the Old Faith network, meaning they go to the druid grove and they talk to other druids. They can use the tree stride spell, or they can.
Well, they got the talk going, and also, it's like, and sooner or later, it also, because of the like the momentum that they created, Valuna finally said, "We've got to put a stop to them."
Yep. And I think it's so cool because in Hamlet you have the conflict built in between Old Faith and New Faith. You have the Temple of Cuthbert, and then you have Jeru, the Druid, so to speak. So I think it's already visualized in the temple of the village of Hamlet. I think it's beautifully laid out in that module. It's not spelled out in the text, if I remember, but it's there in context.
So I understand what you're saying, where Druids are. I think second edition did Druids a disservice, and even Len agreed with me on that before you passed. I think Druids should be not even a subclass of cleric. I think it should be its own class, and that's the way I treat it, because I just think it's so foreign it's not a cleric. They're druids, right? They're just, it's so different. Shape change ability, you know, the weaponry, the whole
Yeah,
idea
but
behind multiple gods. I don't think they're clerics. You know, I'm splitting
well,
hairs. I know.
yeah, no, but to me, it's in some ways, but it's the simple fact that clerics are so boring, and I think the clerics abolish clerics and only have specialty priests. I would love it if all priests were that cool in different ways, so to speak. They should all be. I think the standard cleric is the boring one and should be.
I
Should be
agree.
gone,
I
so to
agree.
speak. Yeah,
I agree. I love, you know,
yeah.
so I have specialty druids. So I have druids that are specialty druids by deity.
That I think it's cool because there should be variants, and in my game I have, but no player. I haven't introduced it as a formal player class yet, but I have like dark druids, meaning they're druids there are different orders and different groupings within the Old Faith, and they are kind of the dark faith, or the representative, the ones that call in the horned ones, so to speak. When the flan are threatened, so to speak, they realize that, okay, now we have to bring in the nukes, the optimum, the worst weapon ever, so to speak, and scare the living bejesus out of whatever comes the way, so to speak. That's the and so I see them at the flan as pragmatic that way. They see the purpose. Evil has a purpose, just like death has in nature, and rotten decay and stuff, just that way too. So if they meet an enemy that is ruthless enough, then they will be even worse ruthless if need be.
Well, the Flan understand evil also because, well, if you look back at the history of the Flaness, they have it's their representatives are the most evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see it that it's kind of built in, and I also played with it and said that if you look at the Flanny's history, even recent history, there's a lot of things. If you look at it from the Flan perspective, then it's kind of interesting to see. You can kind of see from the let's see, you have the first when the Great Kingdom grew strong, so to speak. Then you could tell that they called in the horned ones, and remember who, and this is something we need to talk to Gary about later, but I took this story and say that when you read the story about the Death Knights, and I see it as the Old Faith that lured the soon to be fallen knight protectors from the Great Kingdom to go over on the other side, so to speak, and they became the cursed representative of the horned ones. That's how I see the Death Knights.
Interesting.
And also that the abyssal maw was the ultimate weapon called in by the Flan, and that's why it backfired, because it was so bad that even the druids of the area saw it as terrible. So they kind of rised up against it, and that's why the abyssal maw was defeated, so to speak, because it was so bad and so vicious and so evil and so terrible that it kind of so there's full and then you have Ayus himself, and I think it's so cool that he's called the Old One. To me, that was kind of the kind of the perfect title, and I saw him also, meaning Grast is one of the demon lords that is worshipped by the darker side of the Old Faith, and so he was tasked to create a new hero for the Flan, and so he teamed up with Igvil, meaning probably the most ruthless witch in maybe she was Flan. She was probably not Flan, but she was what Grast saw as useful, and they created Ayus as to be a new Flan hero and planted him with the name the Old One. So no Flan could miss the title, so to speak, and the aspirations, and that worked brilliantly until the enemies Zagig imprisoned him in Castle Greyhawk, and then comes the next kind of interesting thing when you take the Horned Society, and to me, the Horned Society, coming back to the Horned Ones, to me, that analogy is perfect. They set up the Horned Society as a way to preserve what Ayus has started to build during his years imprisoned. And that way they can kind of keep the Great Kingdom and the Erdians and the rest of the Flannies away from it, so to speak. They could protect their holdings for a while. And then when Ayus came back, they dissolved the Horn Society because they didn't need it anymore, because they hoped that Ayus was going to start his struggle, and he did. And then Ayus did the stupid mistake of wiping out 10. And that's when he went from being a Flan hero to be a Flan threat. And that kind of put the whole thing into being a disarray, so to speak. That's part of the history as where I see it. Vecna was one of the earliest priests of the dark side of the Old Faith, because he was the Flan ruler that brought Flan up to becoming the top power, so to speak, back in the early days. And then he was betrayed and was destroyed. So Flan seems to play, they kind of use evil for great purposes, but they kind of overdo it and then they screw it up. That seems to be the Flan story. But this is my idea of kind of using historic events, so to speak, but seeing them from the Flan perspective.
Well, so I'm gonna probably step out now, and also because as soon as Anna starts talking about Death Knights, it also that sounds like she's summoning Gary on.
And I didn't mean that way.
And if she's gonna talk about Ayus that much, it also it's like you're just gonna have to get Casey to come on too.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so very much
Thank
for
you,
coming on,
David.
David.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Good job,
Well, thank
David.
you for inviting me.
You're
So,
welcome.
you
You have a
take
great night.
Good.
Right.
So, Tommy John Kelly told me to make sure I looked up Earth Journal 15, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I read that one. It's interesting.
And he goes over the Old Faith Druids that he sees, and most of them, you know, and I know they're viewed as nature gods, but that doesn't mean you know, the way the D&D system is set up. You know, you have a patron deity just to get your powers. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Well, that's the normal way it is. Doesn't need to be so.
Oh, I
You
understand
always change
that.
it.
I
Yeah.
understand that. Yeah, to each his own. I like it that way, actually, just
Yeah.
because you can tell the difference between an Alana Druid and an Obadiah Druid.
Okay.
There's a
yeah.
big difference, you know, in my opinion. But an Obadiah Druid is you know, the Old Faith and is you know, keeping to as much as nature as possible, while an Alana Druid is more of maybe a hunter, you know. More elven has more elven affinity, because Bill brought up a great point, and that is, if we're talking druids, we're just ignoring demi-humans, and there's demi-human druids. There are elven demi-human druids, and there in my game there's halflings can be druids, and elves and half-elves can be druids.
Mhm.
Okay, old 1e 2e, and so they're not going to have the same aspect as an Old Faith Druid. They're not. I mean, they're just, because especially Sylvan Elves who have Rolfane Ralphil, you know, who's the tree, right? So they're going to be worshiping that. They're not going to be worshiping all of nature, because they could really care less about the human gods, you know. So it's and Alana tends to cross over, right? Alana tends to be elven.
That's
and
how
human.
I see it.
Yeah.
That was one of the gods that kind of became worshipped in both pantheons, both
Yes.
the Elven and the Old Faith, and also some in what became the common faith, that is kind of a mixture of Flan and Oridian and a little bit of Sul and some mix in a little bit of Elven. That became kind of a and that is also I see it. The difference is that the Old Faith have druids, because they don't worship a single deity, they worship a pantheon, more of a pantheon. And then you have more of the common faith, where you more have clerics who are devoted to one deity, and you go from temple to temple, more like you did in the Greek and the Roman worlds, where
Right.
you have different temples with different priests that kind of handle different things. Meaning, if you want rich and fame, and you go to the Siltius temple to deal with stuff like that, and then you go to another one for healing, and another one for guidance, or Rao. When you have like a dispute, you can go and have the Rao priest kind of look at it as arbitrary judges or stuff like that. So the temples more filled the practical purpose, and the clerics had a mission, and they helped their flock with certain things. And then you have more like Cuthbert, that might have been the ones taking care of most things. That was kind of a replacement of which is, the Hamlet is kind of cool, because they have two. They have Jeru, the old druid, and then they have Cuthbert temple that kind of fills the same purpose. So some of them were more kind of universal than others.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, my thoughts so far is that my mind is reeling. This is
Yeah.
like one of those big blind spots in my Greyhawk knowledge. That
Yeah.
I do know a little of Flan history,
Yeah.
though it's patchwork. But when it comes to Druidic references, game or otherwise, I know zilch.
Okay.
I know about Obadai. I know about Alana.
Yeah.
I don't know how we never used druids in my campaigns, which looking back is remarkable. No one ever
Yeah.
tried to tackle a druid. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I've used them a lot, so to speak. They're both from several players have played druids, but also from a campaign standpoint, so to speak. It's been struggles and differences and all that, so to speak. And the druid organization is an interesting one because they have a different agenda that is kind of
Well,
its own in many ways. It's its own faction with sub factions under it.
I'm not even sure where the Old Faith reference comes from because I don't recall it.
I think it
Hearing
comes.
of it
It
before
doesn't start
yes.
off in the game. I think it's a explanation of Druidism as the game goes on. That's my opinion. I don't think it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Gary used it in the Gord books extensively, and
Well, that's in
and
the
stuff too,
'80s.
so-
That's not. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's post. That's like what 85, 86 era.
Yeah, early to mid '80s, and I think there's written about it in various articles and stuff
So
too.
it's in Hamlet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Helmet's 81. So
Yeah.
right, 80, 81.
Never ran Hamlet.
Yeah. So here's my issue with and I don't want to split hairs here. I'm not fighting with them worshiping at Pantheon.
Mhm.
If they all worship a Pantheon, then there's no internal. There's not going to be internal fighting, or there's not going to be factions that are fighting each other.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
that's one interpretation.
I
Yeah.
prefer the Druids having different patrons within Druidism,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
that, for
Yeah.
example, the four I have in the Vespi Forest, I have Alana, I have Serenus, which is like the ultimate nature followers. I have the Master of the Hunt / I stole it from Malar. I stole from Forgotten Realms again, and I combined Master of the Hunt and Malar together. I have Real Fame Ralphil because of all the Sylvan Elves.
Yeah.
And then the Old Faith, I call it, is there are not many of them, but they're Obadiah Druids. But they're few and far between because that's the ancient faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And that's the ancient faith of Druids in there. And so what I have to differentiate those, and Canadian it may have the same thing. I think, Tim, I agree. But I'm talking about from the campaign we have in the Vespi, this is how we have it. The Obadiah Druids are the mystics of the Druids, right? They're very old faith. But I also have them that they have something that the other Druids don't have. And that's the incorporation of like tattoo magic. Some very, very old, abilities. And I took that right from the Relics and Rituals books, Mike Saxon, that you just got, and that Canadian was talking about as well. And so they've actually inscribed magical tattoos on the player characters up there. And only the Obadiah Druids have that, and that's kind of where I differentiate them from. And it's splitting hairs.
No, but I think it's and you touch on a lot of good points, and it also depends on how you see the concept of class. Because if you look at the Druid description, it says like when you reach a certain level, then there can only be so many Druids, because they see Druid not only as a class but also as a title and something a job in the world. So there is only like one 16th level Grand Druid in the whole of the Flan East, meaning if there's someone else, you have to fight them, and if you lose, then you can't level up. And so you can if you see the class concept of something that exists in the world and others, and it's kind of a job description, not so much a game mechanics. But I see it way more as a game mechanic, meaning I can see any nature priest you can kind of shoehorn into the Druid class concept, so to speak, but they might not be part of the Old Faith. Not all Druids might be, because the class concept, I see it as a game mechanics, not something that exists inside the game world, so to speak. The two characters will not go around saying, "Oh, are you a specialty priest of this, or are you a specialty priest of that, or are you a whatever?" So it's more like that's a game mechanic
Yeah,
concept.
and I'm very big on game mechanics.
Yeah.
As you
Mhm.
know, and I
Yeah.
like it that I have druids fighting other druids in some cases because they
Yeah,
have different
I would-
agendas.
Yeah, I would have that too. Meaning
Yeah.
you even have evil druids.
Oh, yeah.
That are the dark faith.
The
meaning
master
ones
of the
that-
hunt ones are
yeah,
evil.
that they emphasize the dark side of the old faith, meaning Nerul and I have the Orcus, Demogorgon, Grass, Supmoy, and a bunch of others, Jubilex and all that, so to speak, because they emphasize the destructive side of nature, the decay, the rottenness, the all that, but they use that in a way to defend
Thanks, Will.
and protect the Flan. Not to be destroy the world or that way, but they are the tools to the ultimate tool. They're like nukes in the real world, meaning they're the most evil thing we've done, but we still keep them locked up in case the worst happens. Then we press the button, and that's how I see the horned ones, so to speak, and the druids and stuff that are connected to them. Oh, here comes Gary. That saves me from
nice one,
babbling
Gary.
too much here.
Oh, we're all
good.
So I did a cursory read through a few references before I came on tonight.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 NPC druids that I'm well aware of before doing this reading, but I just didn't know what their levels were. You got Count Lewin in the County of Ernst.
Mm-hmm.
Says Arch Druid 13th level of Barry.
Mm-hmm.
It specifies the
Yep.
deity.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, and then there's the Great Druid of the Dreadwood, Reynard Yargrove, 14th level of Obed High.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these druids do have specialty, associations.
Which means they don't. They probably revere a lot of other deities, but that's their main That's their main ethical look on the Greyhawk. That's what I take of it. So but
Yeah.
yeah.
There's definitely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It'd be cool to have a game where you specific.
Yes.
So
Reynard is a woman.
That's what we try to create up in. We really tried to create that up in my Vespi campaign, and I'm gonna have a possible announcement on something coming up, maybe down the road that you may be excited about. So to discuss that. So thank you, Dark, for that gift sub. So Gary, what's going on?
Some mortal spoke my name.
St. Cargan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yep.
David came on and did a nice job. Talked some really good stuff.
Cool. So there's nothing left to talk about, right?
Oh, no, there's a lot to talk about.
What?
Yes.
So if we Flan Druidism and the Old Faith, hit us up with some bullets that that we may not have hit, some ideas or something that we have and you want to reiterate.
Well, I felt like Anna didn't get a lot of time to talk, so maybe we should hear.
So I linked it. I can link it again. It's on my Patreon blog. You can read what I put together. So I'll link to the again. So you can kind of.
I like that theory that I use is the Flan revenge.
Yeah.
Think about it, Mike. Who worships IUs other than orcs? The humans that worship him are Flan. They're Flan of the North.
Yep.
They're disaffected rovers, bandit kingdom types. I mean, his priesthood is full of these people. So
they had to flee up there after when the Great Kingdom and the Erdi grew strong. They had to flee north because that was the easy way to escape.
That's exactly what the Ordians did. They took the best central lands and they left the Flan to the north, which is, harsher, barren.
So are these Flan?
No, these are more, these are the same kind of Flan that you would find in the bandit kingdoms and the rovers. Just that they were serfs in Furiandi's northern frontier.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So the racial mix up there is very Flan, but the rulers, the lords, were Oridians. So whatever city predated Doraka was a Furiandian outpost.
Interesting.
And I use, following his mother's defeat, he licked his wounds, found his way up north. He apparently found some source of magic. The suggestion is that it's these soul husks of some long sleeping forces. You know, we don't know if they're humans at all. They may be those cairn builders. They may be the builders of Exag. We don't know.
Okay.
So they are sleeping. He absorbs their power. He becomes a nascent god. And who is worshiping him to power him up? A bunch of Flan and eventually a bunch of orcs. So he is a latecomer, but the people of North were primed for new leadership that would kick the Oridians out.
Yeah, and also just the name, the old one. To me,
Mhm.
it's like so awesome. And the horned ones, meaning Horned Society, it ties in, and that also explains why the Horned Society was so easily defeated by Ayus. They were actually on Ayu's side all along, and because the way I see it is that the Old Faith and the Dark Ones, so to speak, when Ayus were captured and held prisoner in Castle Sagig, they had to establish the Horned Society as a bulwark to defend their holdings in the north while Ayus were gone. And then when they managed to liberate him again,
It's
then
not-
they could
it's-
acknowledge him.
It's not clear where they were waiting, but probably in the Felreave Forest. They were either factions of this
They had,
group that maybe went to Ayu's banner,
Mhm.
or they were other opportunists. But
Yeah.
as soon as Ayuz disappeared from his throne,
Mhm.
that he had only held for 30 years or so,
Yep. Mhm.
they swept in and took his southern capital in Molag.
Yep.
And formed their society, and it was more hierarchical, lawful.
Yeah, and then
in
they
that sense.
handed it over to Ayus when he came back.
Oh, they got
Yeah,
slaughtered.
they
Yeah.
were not dumb. They were not dumb. I think they made many preparations as soon
but
as they
I
found out Ayuz was released, in order to spread their organization out across the Flannis
Yeah,
and make them less vulnerable to a decapitation attack.
exactly. I simply saw it as they did it on purpose. They just made it to look like a hostile takeover of Ayus, but that was a theater for the enemy, so to speak, to do it.
Yeah, it would be far smarter to let some underlings get killed in the Blood Moon
Mhm.
Festival
Mhm.
than to have just disappeared, because then Ayus would be after them. They would be, targets number one.
Yeah, but I also saw it that the Horned Society were on Ayu's side up until he attacked the Flan in 10. When he attacked 10, that's when Ayu switched side, so to speak, and became against anti-Flan, so to speak. He
I mean,
became a threat.
they would not have been a public society until 513 when they emerged
Mhm.
and everyone
Yep.
recognized them.
Yep.
And Molag, that area was just another bandit kingdom.
Mhm. Yep.
So it was the bandit kingdom closest to Ayu, so it fell to his banner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I see the Molag as an old Flan stronghold, one of these hill forts, so to speak, and Freeborough, Critwall were a couple of other ones that were built on hills that were old Flan hill forts. That's why they became cities when the Iridians came and conquered the area, so to speak. They just took them over.
Yeah, and that's why you kind of have to admire the wolf nomads and the rovers of the barrens, because they refuse to submit to this new order.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry, I'm practicing fireball spells. Got to keep it.
So
Death Knight's got to keep it sharp.
Derek Extort said, because if clan religion is druidic in nature, why the shamanism? And does that mean there are two base religions in Flan society? And then Casey says, Molag is not included in Dragon 56 is where the bandits are pre Ayus.
No, because it's
that article's not
society.
set. That article's not set in the time period in which we're talking about.
Okay, there you go.
Exactly. 576, the Horned Society, Ayus were captured and the Horned Society were there to...
Just like at one time, the Shield Lands extended all the way to the county of Ernst.
Yep.
Because it was the safe path east to west.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So, Gary, what are your thoughts on the Druidistic class and Druidism and the Old Faith in playing in modern 576 plus Greyhawk when most campaigns start?
Yeah, I've heard your discussion earlier. I mean, I still view them as something of a subclass of priest,
Got it.
cleric, because they worship a power. Of whether that power is an individual or not is still debatable. Like is a druid of Obed High part of an entirely separate druidical hierarchy with all its own posts? I say no. I think druids of Obed High, druids of Elana, druids of Biori, they all compete for the same posts. They just have their own tastes and philosophies that slightly different from the average.
Okay.
But neither, I don't think their energy comes from their direct worship of that power. However, so I think I would agree with Jay in the sense that they are special, but still priests of a sort.
Okay. And I would have the half elves kind of make sense because they're easy to incorporate. They have just adopted the Flan Old Faith from their human ancestry or tradition in the area, so to speak. There are few elves.
There must be some crossover in the philosophy, right?
And also because you realize Flan and Elvendoms have been side to side for thousands of years. So there might be a lot of crossover, especially among the half elves. That the ones that didn't embrace their elven side, they embraced the human side of their ancestry, and that for a lot of half elves that will probably Flan. And also, I have it that some elves might simply convert and say that instead of being, they might not be goodly aligned enough and stuff, and felt that the cellar, the
weren't we using one in the living room?
What? Oh, it's okay.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, yeah. So some elves might simply say that for one, just like humans, sometimes you convert or you don't pick the religion that is dominant in your area, you pick another one.
I don't know about that, Anna. I'm sorry. I don't think elves convert deities. I'm sorry.
But I mean, elves convert, and instead of worshipping the elven deities, they simply go with. They live in an area where Old Faith is common, so they simply say, well, "Okay, I'm becoming." Then their kids, whatever. So
I don't know.
I can see.
I think that's a stretch.
No, but I don't see every elf automatically worship elven gods, just like I don't think every human, I don't think they follow that slavingly, so to speak. There, of course, there are deviants here and there. It's especially in a fantasy world.
Yeah, once in a blue moon. But I think that Sylvan elves worship certain deities. Gray elves, high elves worship that pantheon. I can't,
it's like
you're right.
Drow. Most of them are evil ones and
worship Loth.
The occasional one are different, so to speak. The occasional one are different, and that's how I see that there might be a few elven druids too. But
I agree. But I think those elven druids are worshiping elven deities. I mean, that's what I think.
You can have.
And it's okay. I mean, we can agree to disagree.
That meaning. Then you look at the class as mechanics from a mechanic standpoint, and I can see that.
Absolutely, and it's just that's where my brain works.
Elana priests could be you treat them mechanically as a druid. So
that's the one. So I have two deities in my campaign. There's either a specialty priest or a druid. There's either or, specialty priest or specialty druid, and that is Alana. There could be either, and Zerbo. They're the two. They're the two, and Zerbo. No one's ever played a druid as Zerbo, so I don't have to worry about it. But if you haven't read Paul Stormberg's article in Earth Journal 15. I'm shocked that he wrote. It's pretty good. So Zerbo druids are rarest of sorts, called sea druids by some. These druids act as wardens for the ocean, waves, coastlines, and attendant animals and plant life. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a specialized druid, right? And that's where a Zerbo druid would be. It's neat. Yeah. It's a neat one. And then we have he's got druids of Lana, Obadiah, Biori, Farling, Jestai, Phaeton, which are rare, and then druids of non-human clerics. Non-human deities are becoming more prevalent in the druidical hierarchy. Originally a human institution, the Old Faith. So here's where I will give it to you. Half elves, I think, would be ones that would go to the Old Faith. half elves, especially with human ancestry, would definitely go to the Old Faith as an
And
option.
yeah,
I
and
don't
I
think the
can also
full-bloodeds
see,
would.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
can also see that Druidism can be very different depending on what type of nature it is. Meaning, if you go up
True.
in the Vestfy or the whole Howling Hills or somewhere up in the north, Druids might function one way, and then if you go to
Spelled it wrong.
jungles, then the Druids might be very different, and also the Druids in the desert or on a little island, they might be predominantly interested in the ocean, and they
Yeah.
are usually concerned with the ocean stuff and different gods and winds and stuff like that. But someone who's a druid in Vestvi might not be particularly into using the same gods or that at all. They might be very, very different that way. That's what I mean about pantheon. I don't mean that every druid
Understood.
worship all the different gods, but Druidism as a whole, or the whole Old Faith, has a menagerie of deities, and then some druids are very specialized, and some druids are not specialized at all. It might
Absolutely.
be a druid that only worships Beery because all that druid is doing is blessing the fields in the area
Definitely.
and blessing marriages and stuff like that, and don't interact with much more than that. And then, yeah.
It's a specialty druid, Bill. The one you're
Yeah.
talking about. That so we have in the 4 ones we have. He's asking because all druids have shape change ability, but the real fame Ralafil, the tree, the Sylvan Elven ones, can only
Yeah.
turn into an Elven Kushi. And it's right
Yeah.
in their specialty
Yeah.
class. That's
Mhm.
all they can do, which I think is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Because it's
And
a
I can
specialty.
imagine you have druids that have lacked that ability and have more spell casting ability, for instance, or more stuff like that, and skip the shape change too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think we've hit upon why I don't use druids. I'm not a fan of shape changing.
No, it's a very, very powerful feature, and there are, for instance, in Pathfinder 1 3.5, those druids were very, very powerful, and you also have to kind of limit it a bit.
Not
Yeah,
too many druids in the Sea Princes.
Yeah. Well,
that might be. Yeah,
could be
mhm,
sort.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
so yeah, true, but
Or Ool, probably.
no.
Less
What about
all.
yeah? Do they
No.
have? No, they chase them away with.
They're like horses.
That's true. Yeah.
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 There comes Wiley. Raiding in. Thanks, Wiley. I would. It's a very interesting discussion,
So-
Wiley and crew. Welcome.
Had a discussion with this with Les, Oblivion Seeker, in the past. One of the theories that I've been working on is that the origins of lycanthropy are in the abuse of shape changing by druids.
That's good. That's
Ah,
real. That's
in
interesting.
ancient
That's
times. Yeah.
interesting.
It's a great
Yep,
point.
mhm.
Thank you very much.
And so
Wiley.
that curse basically gets extended, because of this dark origin.
Yeah, so the Old Faith have a lot of bad.
Yeah, the
things
old
on its
Old
yeah.
Faith has a lot of bad things
Mhm.
in
And
it.
that's how I see it. That's
Yeah,
part of
I
the
agree there.
neutrality meaning. There are a lot of good, and then they have had excess in evils from time to time that goes astray.
The problem is when you start to believe in the circle of life, then you have to include Nerl, you have to include Incabulos, you have
Exactly. Yeah.
to include demon lords and fiends,
Yeah,
and
and
that's why
Sukmoy, I think, plays a perfect role in the circle of life and nature and stuff. So that's
it does seem like
yeah.
the Flan are the most common fiend worshippers.
Yep.
Probably for that
More
reason.
than the Soul? Like, what is really?
The Sul are the least fiend worshipping.
Okay, fiend.
races.
You don't mean evil. You mean fiend. You mean devils and
Yeah,
demons.
fiends,
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Skip
Okay.
the alignment. Skip the ones that use it
All
as lords and deities too. Yeah.
Yep.
But on the other hand, I see all the evil gods as some
great.
sort of creature living somewhere else, so to speak. I don't see the demons and the devils, that different types of those creatures, but I see the demon lords and the high level, the lords in hell and the abyss. They are gods basically in every shape and form. I don't see a difference.
I think the Flan would see it that way.
Yeah. So
I don't know
I'm
if-
very Flan in my outlook. Very Flan.
I don't know if the Oridians would.
No, exactly. They yeah. I'm an old faither in my gaming outlook. So yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's when you get to Druidism and you say, I have a problem with them being true neutral. I always did, but I understand because nature, balance and all that. and I kind of have gone that neutral with a little, especially with the
Yeah.
Avengers, neutral with a little bit
Yeah.
of good. But I don't like the lawful chaotic. I don't need all that. But neutral of good aligned tendencies, neutral of evil aligned
But-
tendencies,
Yeah.
just based on what the ethos is for the campaign.
Yeah. But I don't see them. Druids on an individual basis don't need to be neutral. They don't are not strong on the law and chaos side, but I see them, most druids, I see them as neutral good. They are the Jeru, the nice priest and protector of the village.
Gotcha,
and the
Mattis.
community. They are neutral good because they are the ultimate friend, so to speak. And
They
that's what
have factions, yeah.
yeah,
A true neutral druid would never go adventuring.
No, but I see the true
That's
neutral
point.
druid are the ones that will go out and be hermits out in the forest, and all
Why do
they
you
do
say
is
that, Mike?
protect the forest.
I'm saying that would be a non-starter for a player character.
No, why would a true neutral druid not adventure?
Because they would be content already doing what they're doing, and there'd be no reason to go out.
To some degree, I agree with you,
team
Mike,
up with
because
random
and
other classes.
and I see
But we could make that same argument about the paladin. Why would the paladin associate himself with ragamuffins?
No, but the paladin has a purpose. Meaning the paladin.
Yeah, but he doesn't need those other guys.
So
he would just join up with paladins.
We're comparing morals of real life now to a fantasy
yes.
Greyhawk setting, and I think that's where you get in trouble.
Yeah, but to some degree you have to, in a little bit, to kind of make sense how it works. But it's also
no. I don't see any
ways.
limitation on the druid. Now, where the druid would have some sort of he would have almost like a paladin. He would have motivations and actions that would be almost required of him if he were true to his faith, right? So he's not going to agree to burn down a forest in order to save, one village. But I see them just as eligible for adventuring.
I do too, depending on, but the true neutral druid I would see as the hermit in the forest who would not go on a big. But most druids I will see them as the protector of their community, protector of their faith, protector of their people. So they and also if they are neutral or neutral good or even neutral evil, I would see it from if they need to protect the Flan. That means that they are willing to use whatever methods it takes in order to, if the Originals come in and want to commit genocide.
I think druids are way more flexible than most other people.
Exactly, yeah. So and especially druids and the faith of Old Faith. Meaning
they're not so moralistic.
Exactly, they can commit genocide back in order to protect themselves. And if the Originals come in and are brutal bullies and start killing them off, they will call in whatever needed to be done to deal with them, so to speak, kill them off, everyone, and go with it. So they don't have the lawful good paladin restrictions on how to conduct warfare, so to speak. They can use whatever.
This is semantics.
Yeah,
this is semantics again. No, for me, as far as the difference between an adventuring druid who worships Alana and an Old Faith druid who's the hermit, right, Mike? Who's the hermit away and it's not adventuring and is cloistered and spends his time. That's what I think Mike's talking about, right? There's a big difference between those druids.
Yeah, but these are not essential in the game, but these are flavor that you use to create different cool NPCs with different tenants.
But I think that's
what you can use it for. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. I know we're. It's good to have a little bit of a difference of opinion on the direction of druids.
It's up how you want to run your campaign, and it's also I see it as not.
Greyhawk has a lot of gods.
A lot of gods.
Druids.
Oh yeah.
That can support druids.
Yeah. A lot of gods.
Yep.
And I mean, there's only a limited list here that that this article has, and there's others, of course.
Makes it so rich in flavor. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea that the faith originates in the Flan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that if you have Iridian and Soul druids, it's because they adopted this religion.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate meaning. It's grounded in Flan, their people, their culture, their beliefs.
Yeah. Now, do you guys tie Druidism into bardism and rangerism? I mean, do you view
Yes.
that as a continuum?
No,
yeah,
I
but-
don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah. Cool.
I'm going to go back to. I hate to do this, but a ranger in Lord of the Rings had nothing to do with Druidism. It didn't. They were not. They were patrollers. They were trackers. They were great fighters, hunters. They were had not. They were nature, but they were nature loving, but they were not druids.
Yeah.
No, they were not
Rangers-
druids, but they're part of a continuum. You know that.
Rangers are just because. I see Rangers as a outdoor
I mean,
class.
some of the examples you're giving make them sound druidical.
Yeah, but
It's just
I
going to be
agree with
crossover.
Yeah, but this is interesting because now I agree with Jay because I see Rangers just as a mechanics. It's a fighter that has more skills that are useful in nature. That's basically how I see a ranger, not something that is. Then you can
Right,
be
but
a gnarly forest ranger. But
How
that's a
did
job
those
you have?
how did those skills get acquired? Where are they needed? They are needed in places where the Flan often live.
Exactly. So I see
They're
that.
not needed where the Iridians live.
Well, a lot of Iridians are probably that lives near the Grand Forest and Adri and stuff. They're probably ranger by class too, so to speak. But
in Common Year 600, absolutely. 1,000 years ago when the migration started, maybe not.
that might be true. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I still see classes as a game mechanics, not something.
I mean,
that
we have the
exists in
title
game.
Old Lore for the Bard, right?
Oh yeah.
What does that
the
mean?
Bard is different. That's more like a prestige class. That's had
well, yeah, and the bards.
No, leave the game mechanics aside. I'm talking about
Yeah.
just the
Bards are very druidic. The original first
Campaign
edition
lore.
Player's Handbook
Exactly.
bards
Yep.
are very druidic.
Yep.
They even get druid spells only. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I mean, it was based on a Celtic storyteller. You know, even Scald like. You know, so I don't know. It's a good point. And you're right. It's different between class mechanics and actual RP and so.
Game mechanics
good
versus
point though,
games, yeah.
Gary.
You know,
good
with
thought.
with 1,000 years of evolution,
Mhm.
intermixing between all these cultures and races, you know, anything goes now,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But you know, it still has its origins maybe in
So
different aspects of the.
can I ask a Flan question so we don't forget? Where is this
Yeah.
kingdom of the Flan in this area that was so prevalent back in those in the days? in
You
the South
speak
Pro-
of the kingdom of Alyssa.
Okay, it was
Exactly.
Alyssa. Okay,
South Province centered around.
Alyssa Plain. Okay,
Yeah, exactly. Centered around South Province. And
Can-
One of the
yeah.
one of the few goodly Flan kingdoms.
Exactly. Yep.
So admired by the Aerti when they came upon its, you know, vestiges, that they retained the name. They retained the name for that province.
Mhm.
They absorbed it in a friendly, bloodless way.
Yep.
okay. I have to ask this question because I'm so confused. So I'm talking to the Finnish gentleman for living Greyhawk, and he started using the word nary.
Mhm.
And I did, and he says, "Well, that was ID, and that was Alyssa, and now it's called Neri." I'm confused.
Exactly. They shifted the name after in the Greyhawk Wars. I think it was Card Sergeant that changed it. I think he changed it and into Neri.
Mary's the capital.
Yeah.
Neri's the capital of what?
Yeah. Of ID. What used to be ID. Yeah.
What used to be ID? Oh,
Yeah. Then
okay, so they
became
destroyed that
a
too.
province.
I'm not a
of-
big fan of it. I mean, how often
No,
does that
not
happen?
me
How
neither.
how often does that happen in real life?
Okay,
It's not my
Well, it
I-
happens.
it confused me
Countries
to
change
no
names.
end.
Look at Europe for
I'll
20,
get well.
30 years.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one in modern day
Yeah.
times. Burma, Myanmar.
Yeah, meaning it's a lot. Look at Congo that changed name 8 times, and you have different.
But
yeah.
I was so confused by it, and when we were talking to him, all right.
Yeah.
So, and this kingdom when did this kingdom go away? The Alyssa.
Must have been early days with the Great Kingdom,
Migrations.
so probably minus 200-300
thing
years
is-
or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we
And
know
it's-
that about 1,700 years ago,
I have
the
a-
infamous queen, the quasi deity of that culture, was there,
Okay.
and she created the nightingale, the artifact called the nightingale,
Yeah.
Okay.
with the help of someone named Zaggy, which sounds a lot like Zagig, but would require time travel to be true.
That's
So
great.
yeah, so we kind of have her culture as the origin of the figurine of wondrous power.
Okay.
So the Nightingale is an example of an ultra powerful figurine, but there were many other figurines, smaller charms that she would give out to her culture, and so if you want to, backdate that to
Okay.
how that became widespread, you would. So the Aerdi come upon them. By that time, Alyssa is gone, but the culture is still vibrant. It's just not, it's not a
And
militaristic dominant, culture. It's more like a artistic culture.
Yeah, but it says that around 1100 minus 1100 CY, that's roughly when it peaks, so to speak. So we're talking a fair bit back in the day.
Interesting.
Yeah, but we don't know when it fell. But we do know that actually it was the Sul who found them first.
Okay. Interesting.
So most of those Great Kingdom provinces in the south are dominantly Sul raced. Good Sul.
Yeah.
Which is actually probably the dominant Sul. It's just
And
they get a bad rap.
found it when they were going south towards Hipmona Land and others when they were, or something back.
I mean, it's very interesting. You look at a place like the Duchy of Ernst. It is almost pure Sul, and it's lawful good and rich as hell. I mean, it's
the evil ones were driven south.
There's actually fewer evil one examples than you would think.
Yeah. It's a bit like what happened after the
but we're not telling Rich any of this though.
Exactly, we don't tell him.
He cannot know any of this.
But it's a bit like what happened with the Iridians, with the Aerdi, when the fall of the Great Kingdom, because the good ones kind of escaped the main and are now found in Furiundi and Nairon way more than the old core lands of the Great Kingdom.
That's right.
So it's I know that we've gotten real deep on this discussion tonight, and that's hopefully everyone's enjoying it, because and it's okay to disagree on things too. Everyone, I know there's some disagreeing going. Gribbly and a couple others are talking about paladins and stuff in chat. Don't just everyone leave as friends, please.
Yeah, that's the important bit.
The important thing is agree to disagree. It's okay.
Old discussion trick. You always throw in a paladin question in there, and boom.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's like JME. We
dogs with a stake.
Yeah, JME disagreed on 75%, but then all of a sudden came something that
exactly. It's all good.
Jay right away.
It's all good.
It was like, yes. So,
And Phantom, you're right. However you want to run a game is the way you run your game, and that is cool. And yes, Tim, paladins are great. We're going to see one on May 8th, and I'll talk about that at the end of the show. We're going to see a new paladin.
If someone could explain the Flan of Jeff to me, I would love to hear.
That is a great one we haven't even touched. And
Anna, do you have a theory about that?
Just isolated, right?
Hang on a second here.
Because it's all
Jeff
Flan.
Down there?
Grand Duchy Jeff's all Flan.
Yeah. Now we're touching to something that I talked to a little bit.
And seemed to have been made completely Welsh in their culture.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. And I talked to a little bit, Brian Bloomclots, I have to give him the credit for some ideas that, and I deliberately, it was a lot of stuff I didn't put in my blog post, because I realized that then you will all hate me because I go on too many limbs, so to speak. I'm already stretching myself thin a bit, and I touched that a little bit to the veil that is just next door. And I want to have something in, meaning we have some, meaning we have the Mage of the Veil, and we have the adventure, and then we have another version in the Gorda books. But I want to tie that into Old Flan and Elvendom combined, so to speak, and that's what I want. And so that's how I want to also say that there is a sort of a little crossover between them, and there is a Flan, and I haven't detailed it yet, but Brian Bloomclots gave me some ideas. Yeah,
they were in Vecna's backyard.
Exactly.
How does that happen? How do they survive that?
Yeah, exactly. Just because they were on Vecna's side, they were yes. Meaning you have the darks, you have the Urflan survived somewhere. You have the Dark Faith, you have Vecna connections and stuff, and there is a Flan connection. That's what I want to do with the Veil of the Mage.
Interesting.
That's my kind of
Anything
my-
you do is going to be better than that adventure module.
I
You've made
hope
me-
I
you've
can
made-
at least supersede it a little bit.
Oh
but
my
yeah.
You've made me
gosh.
think about that attack 150 years ago that destroyed the Kiowish army and created all those sword wraiths.
See,
Yeah,
Yep.
which I love
Mhm.
sword. I love
Yep.
sword race.
Meaning there's so much hints and ideas and ghosts out of the past and names and things that you could do 10 times better than someone who writes way better than I do can do way better than the published adventure, unfortunately, because I don't think it's that good.
No, it's not. It's not. It's just a bunch of stuff they threw in there during
Yeah.
second edition. The necromancers
It was
wandering around
hastily
there
done and
was
had
cool,
very
but
little,
it's stupid.
exactly,
yeah.
and it had very little to do with meaning there's so much rich Greyhawk history and lore you can kind of tie into it, and they
Yeah.
basically ignored all that, and to me that's kind of a bit
So
boring.
one thing we should sit down and do, Anna, at some point is pick a point, I'd say 1100 years ago.
Yeah.
Perhaps 1300 actually, and draw a map of the Flannis as it existed at that time.
There have been several that are good, and we might have to tweak it a little bit here and there, but yeah.
So you have Salmanitar, no bright desert. You know,
Alyssa.
you have Alyssa, you have the necromancers
And
of
Vecna.
Trask and the East Coast, the worshippers of Demogorgon
Mhm,
in the north.
mhm.
What's up with Zunk and his hands and that tomb and
Exactly,
all that kind
meaning-
of stuff.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and it's so awesome because I see that as the time of myth and legend that you
The
can
Isles of
use-
Woe.
Exactly, that you can use to spin so many cool connections. And oh, that we have one of my absolute favorite maps.
Yeah.
Yep,
Caraptus,
Psalm,
Saranac.
Itar, Alyssa.
Exactly, and you have a Sarah.
Did you do that, Mike? You did that one?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
It's
that's my
awesome.
canvas map that Anna
Mhm.
loves.
That's awesome.
oh yeah, I just love it. That one is so full of awesome inspiration and stuff, and it's like
got
a
some gaps.
mythological pre-age before the
We need
current
a
Greyhawk.
20 megapixel photo of that, Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, he has a good scan though, so but I want to see that one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
And-
it's
yeah.
like the equivalent of Second Age in the Lord of the Rings, which is so
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
cool. Angmar and
Yes,
Numenor and all that.
Yes,
And
yeah, and I would
yeah.
love to see
In it-
more adventures make use of that. All
In
that
an
possible.
alternate universe, in 1995, after
Mhm.
Sargent published I Use the Evil,
Yeah.
Ibid the Undying,
Mhm.
we would have gotten
Yep.
an Arcane Age box set for Greyhawk called Age of Glory.
Oh,
It would have
yes.
included all these nations,
Mhm.
the Baklunish Empire, the Sul Imperium, the Ulman Empire, and it would have given us rules on how to run campaigns. in all
Okay.
these
They
settings.
they made an Arcane Age Front Realm supplement. That's
So-
why it's
Oh, I
possible.
know. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
We were
Yeah.
the redheaded stepchild at that point.
So Gary,
The golden boy got everything.
Yeah. mhm.
So we may have someone's ear, and maybe we should suggest that.
Yeah.
We could talk.
but- yeah. Yeah, but I
Oh.
think it's
I've been on a roll lately.
yeah, but I think it's and I love this. I love this discussion.
You
because
never
there's
know,
so many
man.
Cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. You never know, man. But I
But
think it's
the-
really important. We can do it. Meaning we can spin off this and put it in Earth Journal, blog about it, and stuff like
The
that.
problem
because
is the people who might like this idea don't have the power, and the people who have the power
Yeah.
probably don't
Yeah,
like this idea.
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, Jason. I know, but I just some stuff going on. You just never
Yeah.
know these
Yeah,
days
you
what's
never
gonna
know.
happen.
Yeah, mhm.
So
Yeah, but I
just
think that Greyhawk has this wonderful hidden layer of lore that is kind of
Oh, it does.
semi-lore,
Oh,
but it's enough
Anna,
that it's
Anna,
yeah.
pre-Land of Black Ice too at that time.
Oh yes, and then we have the Sul where they came from cataclysms.
Maybe
and,
Baba Yaga messing with the Coltons in the north.
yeah, and then I bet that the Baklunish era or an area have and lands have their backstories and their old
Absolutely.
myths and stuff that can tie
West,
into it.
It's
west of the
allergies.
Baklunish, we would have the Oridian homeland
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and their troubles with humanoids and
Yeah.
daemons and other
Yeah, and we have
fiends
to
that caused Joidi
Mm-hmm.
to get the
Yeah.
What was her artifact? I can't even
The
remember.
mask.
Mask.
Yeah, the mask.
Shoidy's mask.
Yeah, and then we have to weave in the humanoids, how they fit into these stories, and the orcs and the gnolls and
Well, that's what Ed said on
goblins
Sunday
and
night,
stuff.
right?
Yeah,
That
exactly.
it
We
was
need
really not done well in any
exactly.
setting.
We need to tie them into
And
the
per our
story too.
discussion last week, the Elven kingdoms at their height, the
Yes.
Dwarven kingdoms
Mhm.
at their height.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a Herculean task, is what you're talking about too.
Yeah, but it's like an elephant. We need to
Little
one,
bites.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and also you can't just make one grand scheme and solve it all. That would be the wrong way to approach it. I think
Oh,
we
that's
need
the way
to-
I would do it.
Yeah, I know
So
that's the
the
way I would do
problem-
it too, but I don't think it's the
Oh my
because
God.
I think this needs to some spin in an idea here and put it in, and then you kind of weave, and it's also it should be myth and legend, so it should be many different ways to interpret it, so you can kind of pick and choose the one you like for your game and campaign, and you can use some other rumors to fool your players with and stuff like that. So
The ancient, Gary may have already said this, but the ancient Flannis is not all contemporary. A lot of these kingdoms pop up or gone.
Yeah.
Solms that
That's
are
right.
gone.
So you would have to
No.
pick.
Isles of Woe gone.
You would have to pick the
So-
right century in order to get most of them there at the same time.
yeah,
However, there would be a time, inevitably, when the Isles of Woe would be gone and it would just be a legend. But you would incorporate that into that setting.
but you also don't have to make one snapshot. You can
No,
simply,
you could say-
make a
you could
map
pl-
where you say this is where the Vecna Empire
You-
was, and so
You
on.
can
and so
go
forth.
first. You could go first age, and
Yeah.
that would be, Queen of Darkness and
Yeah.
Wind Dukes and
Mhm.
Cairn Builders and Exag.
And also present each region. Go with the Sheldamar Valley, and then have like a quick kind of timeline. Who ruled Sheldamar Valley when, and then have kind of meaning Vecna. He pops up and does it. And then you have the migrations coming in, and what's the Elven
That
influence.
book would be
and
this
then,
big, this wide.
Yeah, and you can kind of make lots of snapshots, so you can simply take each realm and then make a quick kind of snapshot back. Who ruled this area 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years
It's really
ago.
cool concept.
What do you guys think, Vecna Flan?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I have
yeah.
him as a representative of the Dark Faith. He was one of their first leaders that kind of brought the Flan into ruling large part of the Flan East. He was the first kind of the one that took things in his own hands and elevated the Flan from being these nomads that was kind of not taken seriously to become the big powerhouse in the Flan.
Well, we're going to have Dave Cook to ask some of these questions.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
going to be awesome.
So this is a warm up.
Have I even hit that button yet? I don't think I have. I'm going to hit it right now. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yes.
20 hardcover books later. Yeah. That's what this will take.
Oh, that's
so,
coming soon. That's That's
Yeah.
2 weeks.
mhm.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks. It's we got so much coming up. Unbelievable amount of
Yeah.
stuff. I know
But
we're
I-
getting close to time.
yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, I was going to
Ooh.
say, I think that what is important in this discussion is that I think every Greyhawk fan, we hope that we can open your eyes to a previous era of inspiration and kind of cool things that you can kind of unbury, and meaning we all want to have legends and old stuff in our campaigns. These are the time where stuff like that came from.
Guys, there's a set of standing stones just outside the city of Greyhawk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You could use that as an adventuring hook and tie it into Druids and
Yeah,
the Old
and
Faith.
the
Have.
cairns
Already
and,
have.
and yeah, there's
There's,
lots of things. Yeah.
places of power, ley lines, and
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and it's so cool to not having them just weird random things, but they should be tie into lore and history and legend.
I've cheesed it big time because a lot.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna really, because I'm really corny, but a lot of my standing stone rocks, especially in the Vespi and all over, have the Led Zeppelin 4 Zoso symbols all over them. I didn't have anything else.
Yeah, but you should have some room for some fun and lighthearted stuff too. That belongs in role-playing games as much as seriousness. And
Yeah. Well, there you go.
When I was reading your background document, Anna, I think
Yeah.
one place where I would kind of agree with you with a small tweak, as I think the Death Knights are the Flan's revenge on the Aerty.
Yeah.
But not the Old Faiths per se, because even
Okay.
The Old Faith wasn't they would be
Undead worshipping.
disassociated from
Yeah.
necromancers. Yeah. So Demogorgon, basically he doesn't like civilization. I mean, the Aerty were basically insulting him by creating this empire. So the idea of turning it against itself is really appealing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to just I took that idea and you planted it with saying the old cult of the Flan cult, so to speak, and it was like, yes, that fits perfectly. So I just ran with it, and then when IU said the name the old one, then I was like, okay, that's obvious. And someone wrote that Flan, and then I think it was Joe Block when he listed the 5e, the gods in his 5e supplement and conversion for Greyhawk. Then he listed I use his Flan and the old one, and it was like, yeah. So that I made that connection years ago, but then Flan and was like, yep. So run with it. So then I simply said that it was a plot, a Flan plot to create I use to begin with. So I kind of took some vague assumptions and ran wild with them. So yeah. So I kind of hijacked the
Casey, I just linked it, man. I just linked it. There. There's the adventure. You get on the adventure thing, and then you can go right into the Counterfire site from that. So that'll work. Yeah.
And it was more, my article and blog post is more like an example of what you can do when you take legends and various lore, and you can kind of weave your own truth or your own false rumor or what you want, so to speak. You can make it with it. And this was one example that I've used in my
problem,
campaign.
Casey. It's okay.
Yeah. So you can weave it differently if you want to. So it was an example as an information what you can do with it.
There's so much great direction you can go. I chose to go Celtic Finnish, adding on.
Yeah.
You chose your direction. Mike chose no druids, right, in his campaign, which is fine.
Maybe not made a choice.
But you just didn't.
Dromage lives in the lair of a druid,
right,
under the sea.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that was a druid lair. Yeah. I never knew that.
Yeah, you have a sea druid. I didn't know either, but that's super cool.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think it might be the home of the Grand Druid.
Grand Druid of Zerbo or something like that.
I wrote that stuff. So
did you really?
Yeah. It's Kioish lore.
Oh.
So it's actually a Hierophant druid.
Right, because he's
beyond Grand Druid. Exactly.
This is someone who's already graduated from the Druid papacy, which is really a neat concept that Gygax introduced. The idea of that
in Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah, I mean, these are like druidical quasi deities.
Yeah.
And they age very slowly. Yeah, and they're just around, and they should be ultra rare.
Yeah, and depending on their focus in life, this being could take on aspects of water or forest or earth or whatever his
I've seen references to 2 Hierophants in just the LGG, I believe.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
They should be out there. They're an amazing hook because your PCs won't know what to do with them.
No.
Should I kill it, or should I worship it, or
just ignore it,
or should I run away?
Yeah.
I always thought that Gary was looking for a way, because he level capped them, and this is just my thought, that he was like, I got this FR and they're having 25th, 30th level characters running around. I'm capped with my assassins, and he doesn't care about assassins at this point. With my druids, and Bard's only 23rd level, so I'm going to make the druids 23rd level as well. That's what I thought the process was behind it. Is he tried to explain it in the Hierophant with that class.
No, because I mean the Forgotten Realms wouldn't have existed at that point, or even second edition. So I think it's more relieving the pressure valve, because if you're the Grand Druid, there's nowhere to go, right? If you're the Grand Druid,
right. You can
just abandon it. It can only be one.
Someone's gonna challenge you,
right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna be knocked off your perch.
Got it.
So where do you go from there? I think Grand Druids, much like Supreme Court justices, they sometimes see that their time is done and they retire.
Yeah, and also the Grand Druid is like the CEO, and the Hierophants are like the board of directors. They
Yeah,
stay
that's a
around
good-
in order to
Exactly.
kind of guide and tell, whispering the CEO.
The Grand Druid has to do all the paperwork.
Yeah. Yep. And the Hierophants are the ones going around doing all the fun stuff. So
Exactly.
So great discussion tonight. Very in depth. David really provided a lot of early insight and really did stuff. I'll admit, some of it went over my head. I mean,
yeah, it was
wow.
a lot of fun. Yep.
Yeah, which is really cool. So anyone want to close this topic out before we do shout outs on the table?
Well, we have Death McDoom. What happens to Grand Druid's level if he get knocks off his perch?
Lose a level.
He levels up and become. He can kind of. I would have it at he can kind of circumvent and eventually, hopefully, become, because he's been a Grand Druid. That means that he can level up and become a Hierophant. He has to go.
Oh,
on
I thought they
adventure
lost. I thought the Hierophant
No.
willingly abdicated, not by combat.
Oh, I think that's how you sit on that grand. You are a Grand Druid until someone deposes you and are better than you.
I don't know if that's necessary. I think
No.
you could. I think you can
You can probably
graduate.
step down.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, you could probably graduate. But
Yeah.
an interesting question is, who is the Grand Druid
I don't think
in
there's one.
in 576 or
Celadon.
591?
Not
Yeah,
noted.
Celadon Forest, and he's in the court
Celadon?
books. I
We
think.
we know one of the 3 or 4 great
Great
druids.
druids.
Yeah.
Archdruid's not high enough. Archdruid's only
Archdruid
13th.
Emeritus. Yep.
That's
Who
only
wrote
13th.
the
That's-
Old
that's not
Faith
great.
section in the Living Gazetteer, Gary?
Uh,
Old Faith.
I'm guessing it was a collaboration between Eric and Sean.
Okay. Because in there, they had a
Yes, sir.
simplification of the Great Druids in that there's 9 Great Druids, and one watches over each of the geographic distinctions of the map.
Right.
That's why I just read a little while ago. So, there's a Backloonish West Druid.
Yeah, I think they do
Silvermore
have.
Valley Druid.
They have geographical regions
Yeah.
that are more. They make more sense in a natural way, not in a political way.
Yeah.
But
So I
then
always
each of
thought
those have
it as
3 arch
force,
druids.
not.
So if you go
as a
down,
region.
you could pretty much count out how many druids there are in the world at all these levels. But
Yep.
that makes druids kind of a very rare thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So-
also,
Higher
sorry.
level druids.
Yeah, you could expect to have like hundreds of hierophants
Oh yeah.
because they don't die quickly or easily.
that they are one of the really big powers in the Flan. That if you have
Well,
hundreds of these really high level,
They go off plane hopping too, because they can go on.
Yes.
yeah, but that doesn't make them less powerful. That makes them more powerful.
Yeah, their concerns are bigger than just one forest.
Yeah, I agree. There's some technical things you got to think about with the druid fights. The same thing with monks, but that's
Yeah.
for another night and discussion.
Yeah.
And you can make it however you want it in your game.
Yeah. Meaning this is this is
Yeah.
not perfect by any means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Casey brings up a good question. I think one way you could solve it is to say that there are multiple hierarchies.
Yep.
And that the one we specifically focus on tends to be the one run by the Flan on Earth, on the Flanus, and it's not the same in every part of the world or in every other prime
If you
material
take the
plane.
whole planet, you can
Yeah.
probably the Tuve and the Olmans and others might have their own hierarchies.
There might be a
and stuff.
place where it's ruled by a council instead of a single Grand Druid.
Yeah. Or they might only sit for 1 year and then they become
Mhm.
Hierophants for a while, and then they have a period of 5 years and then they're have to retire.
Or they rule for 1 year, then we put them inside of a burning man made of straw and set them on fire
Uh-oh.
Mm.
Yeah.
to renew the circle of life.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing with Flan and Druidism. You could make it pretty cruel if you want to.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's
I mean,
how
you
I
could
see
have your
that
PCs walk into a village in the middle of the fell reap forest, and suddenly, they're being fattened for some ceremony they have no idea about,
Yeah.
and they just have to intuit
Yeah.
and escape. Like
that-
Midsummer.
And that's how I see a neutral
Children
faith
of the
as
Corn.
a whole, meaning they have
Or Children of the Corn would be Children of the
Yeah.
Corn would make a fantastic module idea. Way better than Puppets and
Oh my
Child's
gosh.
Play.
Don't
Could you
give me
imagine
ideas.
PCs having to decide whether they could cut down some kids?
Yeah.
My guys wouldn't matter at all. My brain dead guys. My one player, he slaughtered all those kids in the hidden temple of Erythnol because they were in the room and they were singing "Ringing Around the Rosie," "You're all gonna die" or whatever, and he just went and killed them. Yeah, it's his elf. Yeah, so
Well,
my guys
yeah,
would have no problem.
yeah, when you tempt a group of players to be murdering hoboing, you're usually not disappointed, so to speak.
Yeah, I just you taunt someone and but true point. That was your Wicker Man. Yeah, definitely. Oh wow. So we can always we can always come back to this theoretical thing. We could always have a Legends and Lore on the highest level character by class in the Flannis documented.
Yeah.
That would be a good one. You
That
know,
would be a good one. I mean, this one also suggests that we should probably schedule in the future an Oridian, a Baclunish, and a Soul, and an Ulman
Yeah.
Legends and Lore.
I'm
Yeah.
all for it, man. We did
Yeah.
a Black Lunish one, and we with Carlos helped us, and it was
Yeah.
we did our best. It's been a while for that.
That
one.
one, that one's going to be a little rough. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's going to be a little rough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was back. I guess that's been over a year, Mike. What do you think? About a year ago? I mean, we lose track of time.
Oh yeah.
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 Urflan. When did the title Urflan come about?
That seems to be a Carl Sargent neologism.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can play it either as it's a specific age in the Flan culture that they called themselves the Urflan, or you might simply say that it's something that they already came up as a
I think it's
derogatory
almost.
term to,
I think it's almost certainly an academic name
Yeah.
by the Iridians.
yeah, some scholar in
Yeah.
in Rossi's or Rel Devon or Rel
Any-
Aster or something started
Anything
labeling them.
powerful and bad in the Flan past, Urflan.
Yeah. Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
Because
Fomoku.
the, the current Flan are pathetic. So anything that's wondrous are the Urflan.
Ah, that's true. It's a way. It's a propaganda trick to say
is a
that. That was back
propaganda, yeah.
in ancient
Yeah.
times. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great angle. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great angle. Yeah.
They're not like the dirt eaters we have now.
Yeah. Yep. That's yep. And that's what the other part I wanted in my article was to describe things not from the victorious Oridian kind of angle, but from the Flan angle point of view, so to speak. And I think that's something you can try in campaigns to depict things from various angles to see things in history and to make new connections and to describe things differently. So in my campaign now, I have like two characters that are Flan and Old Faithers. They get to see this history now, and the other players haven't seen it. Now some of them have because they watched this show, but otherwise they know a version of this history with some extra stuff, meaning they get taught the history from the Old Faith side, so to speak.
Yeah, that's why I like the premise of your document, Anna, because I think you could tell Flannis history from 4 or 5 or 6 points of view.
Yeah.
You know, the Elven point of view, the Baclunish point of view, the Soul point of view, and they would be very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the villain of the story would change.
Yeah,
from
my
culture to
story,
culture.
Vexna
Yeah.
is more of a hero than a villain.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you were a citizen of Fleeth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But no one talks about them because they were probably wiped out. So yeah.
Sucks to have bronze weapons.
Yep.
We can't. I don't want to get it, Patrick. I don't want to get into that on chat. I don't because I don't want to bash anything. So Patrick asked about what do I think about the Greyhawk reboot, and I think that's left for off camera and off this topic of Legends and Lore. You know.
Yeah.
So yes. It's a 5e reboot, and let's just leave it at that. And I'd love to. We can talk. We've talked about it on Cannon Fire Grey Talk, and I think that's the place for it. You agree, Gary?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. That's so I would love to discuss that on Grey Talk some night with everyone about it. And then we could, yeah. I just want to, because Gary brought up some points, and I don't, once again, something that I think is better left for a non-Legends and Lore discussion with that, because don't want it to be a public record. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree. Grant, I prefer multiverse over reboots. I do too, but it's 5e, and so someone has it may have some good content in it, but I know Anna has looked at it. I know Gary's looked at it, but Legends
and Lore is about about the setting, not the rules. so
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I got a 41-year campaign, so I don't need a reboot. You know what I mean? I love the way we play and all, and I got some cool announcements about it too. So
Why would Jay reboot when he's getting Ed Greenwood to play in his campaign?
Yeah. That's,
Yes!
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ed, yes, unbelievable. Just
Yep.
some unbelievable stuff. So, Mike, what's going on in your world, man?
A lot of gaming.
That's awesome.
I have to keep a schedule book with all the stuff I'm doing. It seems like just work and gaming.
You're having fun though, doing it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Any
Some
games you
more
want to shout
daunting
out?
than
Anyone
others.
who's DMing for you who's on tonight? You want to shout out?
Is Rich here?
I didn't see
I
Rich.
haven't seen his name pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got
But,
shout out Rich for sure.
All right.
Mike took a beating on Monday. His character.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm getting tired of getting beat up.
Sometimes.
No.
The dice.
Very cool. All right. Well, that's easy enough. Anna, what's going on?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things. First, if I've been a little bit absent, and that's because we have my mother is not feeling well, so
I'm
she's
sorry to
been
hear.
in the hospital and stuff. So if anyone wonders why I'm a bit distracted because of that, so to speak. So but I'm not going to go in any details here. But that's why I've been a bit more distracted. So
It's very
the
important.
usual. Yeah.
I'm leaving for the airport in 2 hours to pick up my mother. So
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of especially when you're stuck 5,000 miles away from her and waiting for my second COVID shot before I can go back. So we'll see. But so that has taken some time away. Yeah. Thank you, Seeker Vivian. Thank you everyone for being so understanding. I haven't spoken much about it, so we'll see. That I might even have to cancel my gaming session on Sunday. We'll see. That's something to decide, because I might have to, because it might be a good time when I need to talk to my mother before she goes back to the hospital on Monday. So because that will be the last time I can make sure I can talk to her before we get issues, but we'll see. But now on to the fun stuff, so to speak. So Nagoya Joe Brian Wakenham, he has a campaign, an Allman campaign, and I'm drafting out my character, and I'm going to see if I can play
an Allman campaign.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow, you don't hear that every day.
No, it's not. It's very so that was kind of was kind of interesting, and it's so I started and so the other players have started to kind of get their character concepts up, and I realized there was an empty in the cleric or priest department, and so I decided to try and fill that. So I kind of read up on the Oldman gods, and I realized that there's a cesspool of evil whatever, so meaning there's not much room for anything except the evil worst. We've talked about druids and stuff can be bad, but the Oldmen seem to have done even worse in the deity department. So yeah, so it's bad. So but I kind of took a war priest of, let's see if I can pronounce this, Tezcatlipoca. And Tezcatlipoca. I need to learn to try and say that. So Tezcatlipoca, and it's a god of war, knowledge, and magic, and an evil one. But I will try and play her as lawful neutral or chaotic neutral or true neutral, some not overly evil, so to speak. But then have and play her as a war priest with focusing on war, knowledge, and magic. So maybe a dual class cleric sorceress might be kind of cool or something. We'll see.
Nice.
Into doing that, so to speak. So spell fighting and fighting with spells and weapons will be her thing, so to speak. So we'll see what I can do with that. But that so that I need all the help I can get with that, because that will be a tough concept to play, but very, very interesting and challenging to play with that. So we're starting soon to play with that.
Cool.
So that is, and then my campaign is, like I said last week, I'm converting it to 5e, and several people have asked me why I abandoned Pathfinder after 10 years and
Wow.
a little bit over 10 years of Pathfinder, and there are several reasons for that. One reason is that I need to learn 5e anyway, because I'm playing in several 5e games, and I'm also contracted to run a 5e campaign for D&D in a castle this fall. So
You're going to break Jason's heart next week.
Yeah.
We're not telling him. No, we're not. We're not saying a word. Okay. No.
No.
Not
Exactly.
Next
I'm not
week.
saying any word. And I like Pathfinder. It's not that. And I like Pathfinder 2 as well. So, but it seems more like the Pathfinder was the game system I like, but the 5e was the game system I needed right now. So one of the reasons is that I need to learn 5e anyway, and to lessen the burden on me having to run in 2 different game systems. I realized that if I have to use 5e anyway, then run 5e. And then there's 2 other reasons. One is that the digital tools, and this is something that I think that Paizo needs to pay attention to, so to speak, that the digital tools are supporting 5e out of the box. Every tool these days support 5e, and a lot of them support Pathfinder 2 as well, thankfully, but and Pathfinder 1, but
does make you jealous.
Makes it easy, because almost every tool available supports 5e out of the box, and has the most support with a lot of cool stuff, extras and stuff. So that's the other reason that to do it. And the third reason is that every player except one that can play in the campaign already plays in 5e, so for them it was also easier for them to switch to 5e. So it will be 5e, and hopefully it will be the last, but I will definitely play in Pathfinder games, that's for sure. Yeah, because I don't mind the Pathfinder rule system at all. I liked it. It's been very, very useful for over 10 years now. So yep. Well, and then my mapping and stuff, that was kind of unusual, but there's been so many other stuff going on. And I wrote my article about the Flan as a kind of an example. And I'm also the one guilty for this topic. So if anyone felt that this was kind of over the top or whatever, it was my fault. Because
it was great. It was great theoretical.
Thank you.
Burn the heretic.
No,
exactly. Yeah. So
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
So it was because it's part of the fabric in my campaign. So I've been thinking of it and even since in the Reldevin campaign. So it was kind of cool to kind of do a deep dive. So thank you everyone for helping out with it. But then when it comes to the map making, the revision of the southern seas, so to speak, is underway, and I'm starting to figure out how to best detail the islands and stuff, and also I've also added some more on the climate maps and stuff like that, so there will be more posts coming on that too, because I got a huge response from as soon as I started showing more of the planet, my planetary concept. I got so many comments and ideas and whatever, so everybody went rampant with it. So I realized that people are very interested in it. So I need to work more on it, so we can get more stuff for people to react to out early, and then tweak it from there, so to speak. So that's coming. And Lendor Isle, I'm reading through old Len stuff that he wrote about the Lendor Isles and doing some sketches and stuff. So that project is underway, but is in that kind of fact gathering phase right now. And then there will be more updates on the test area I'm using for my campaign maps coming in probably about 2 weeks. I hope that I can have some new cool stuff coming up there. There will both be technical posts and stuff. And also very soon I will have the overhaul and announce what I'm going to do with my Patreon and stuff. So there will be new tiers and new goals and some new partnerships and stuff announced there too. So that's what's going on. Yep.
So a question just was out there, Dragon. All right. You don't need From the Ashes to have Marklands, but if you have Marklands, you have to have Eyes of the Evil, and vice versa. They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You have to have both. I see them 1A, 1B, so you have to have them both. And Boogers, it's Legends of the Seeker. Is there anything better than women fighting in D&D? Come on, So I know I'm childish, but hey, come on, it's great scenes. All right, so you ready for all this? I don't even know where to start. And thank you, Tafaris. Thank you, everyone, for tonight. 2 hype trains again. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, just like Sunday. Here's what's going on this week. We got oh my gosh. So we already got 2 more. We already got 2 more special hero points for tomorrow night. So tomorrow nights, I'm just gonna throw them. Hopefully this works. Let me move this over here and see if this will work. If I put it here and pop it up, will that work? Yes.
Yes.
All right. Event tomorrow night, Adventure 908, Return to Forest Green Bastion. We have a big. He's coming on now. Oh, I know why he's coming on now. The ever mysterious Tim wants to announce something. So Thursday night we have that, and we'll probably finish this one up. There's a elite ogre attack on the Bastion. There's a purpose behind it, a reason behind it, and pretty interesting fight. And that'll be tomorrow night. And Gamescape 3D, more STL files given away from Gamescape tomorrow night, which is always a fun thing. Oh my gosh, you guys are insane! Thank you, Siderin. Thank you, Extort. Thank you, Scala. Thank you, Eb9.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. Wow. Keeping track of it as much as I can. Tim, it's dark. So we have an extra stream this week, Saturday morning. Hopefully I updated this, and that is session 0 of the Underdogs. Roll the bones. All right.
Yes, we do.
Awesome.
Yes, the ever mysterious Tim and his 5 players. Casey is one of them. Kayla, Time Lord's wife. Prometheus, Canadian Ancient Gamer, and Antiquitous. Correct? Did I get all
Yes.
5? Are playing in this, and this will be first level characters. Tim, go ahead. Give them some little details.
Yes.
That's all you're saying is yes. Okay, well, there you go.
Warriors.
What's that?
Warriors.
It's a cool
Wise
crew.
men. Wise women. Druids. Spiritualism.
Yeah. So it's going to be a session 0. I'm going to.
Enchanters that tell the tales of glory.
Tim reminds me of one of those heads in the first
Warriors.
Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Births. Marriages and deaths.
It's going to be fun. I will be sitting back just producing it, and so Saturday 9 a.m. Okay.
That's all I have to say.
I will announce. I will do more when I announce Gavin. I'll put that in there all over the place. You'll remember. I'll do it at everyone in Cannon Fire if you're up that morning. And they're going to be talking about their backgrounds, and they're going to be rolling the characters live, right, Tim? I guess
Do we
so.
get to find out the setting, the location?
Oh yeah.
Yes. We'll all be live. It's in the Rovers and the Barons.
Yes.
Ah,
The Zulu tribe. Fighting the forces of Ayus.
Yes. Tim, you're scaring me, man. This is.
And these guys will probably be taking out the garbage too, because they're the underdogs.
Yes. So this will be a regular group Saturday, and it'll be Saturday morning, Saturday evenings, whenever we can fit it in. Every couple months, another group added
I am
into
trying
our
to scare
content.
you, Jay.
What's that? Yeah, well, I'm not playing in it, so I'm not that scared. I'm scared of you, but I'm not scared of playing in it. So, but yeah, what a great group that is.
Awesome.
So there you go. So that is Saturday morning. No Saturday night special this week. We had a monster one before, but I got one coming up. Now wait a minute, let me get back to this. And so our Gabbin on Sunday. I put Tim up. I'm not sure if Tim will be there, but he normally likes to participate in these. And that is the evolution of the Cavalier class. Everyone's giving me grief. Ed, you notice Ed didn't want to discuss the Cavalier. I think he doesn't like him. I love the Cavalier, and we couldn't have had the Joust if we didn't have the Cavalier, right? It wouldn't have really worked that well. Cavaliers are great. You just got to know how to play them. And we're going to talk about the evolution of them and how you can put them in your game no matter what edition it is. All right, so I'll talk about what I do to tweak them, and everyone else can talk about what they do, and and we'll go from there on the Cavalier. Really never had a Gabbin on the Cavalier. Had a Gabbin on damage dealers, but we never had a Gabbin on the Cavalier itself. So that's what we'll do that on Sunday. So next week starts the mega. I mean, having Tim to session 0 is huge, but next week it just starts it off. I mean, you want to talk about unbelievable content coming up next week. Legends and Lore number 97. Paizo Hawk, James
crap.
Jacobs, Jason Bullman, and Eric Mona all in the same show. I mean, I don't even
All wise.
I don't even know. I may not say a word. I may just sit and just let them just talk, and just let them
I've
go
been
back
there.
and forth and talk. And
Yep.
wow, this could be the biggest biggest Legends of Lore we've ever had. Really, I mean,
We may not hear a word from James.
yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
You might have to go with a time clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be, and there will not be a time limit on this. If it runs late, this runs late, and if they are good
Yep.
with it,
Mhm.
then that's fine with me because I want to. I don't know if we'll ever, maybe we will, but they've been very amenable to coming onto the show, and
Yep.
huge show.
It's
Casey, you're
fantastic.
absolutely correct. Huge, huge show. Please note this: Giant Blue Box has a 2-hour show on Tailspire right before it, so
Yeah.
from 6 to 8 Eastern. John's show with the owners and the creators of Tailspire for 2 hours. I'm assuming he'll be rating into us afterwards, and then this. So it's like a 4+ hour awesome talk show night.
Yep.
So note it's a really great doubleheader for this. And thank you very much for that follow. All right, so that is, and then we go. I'll have a game. I'll have a game on Thursday. I haven't even gotten to that point yet. But the next Sunday, a week from Sunday, a legend, Zeb David Cook. I mean, A1, I1, Vecna Lives, Tome of Magic. I mean, just what an
Yeah.
unbelievable one.
Mhm.
First time on the show. Thank you very much for the second hype train. I'm going to add another giveaway for 2 hype trains. So, yes, Zeb Cook is coming on. It's his 65th birthday, and he said, it'll be cool for me to do this May 2nd, my 65th birthday. I was
Wow.
like, oh, that's awesome. So
Mhm.
Zeb Cook will be on, and we'll ask him some great questions.
Guys, he wrote the Greyhawk Wars.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wrote
So
the
if
Greyhawk
you
Wars
love them,
hardback,
or if you hate
box
them,
set. Yep,
he's the man to blame.
yep. So it's going to be an unbelievable.
I, for the most part, likes them. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. Mhm.
So,
And-
yeah, I mean, we got a lot of. This will be a tough to fit in 2-hour show with all the content that he's done.
Mhm.
Unbelievable stuff going way back. So monster. That's Michael. Hey, thanks. I didn't know that either. I mean, he's done a lot, and we'll try and pull it all out of him on a week from Sunday. Then the Saturday after that, and this came together after the show Sunday night. I told the story already, but that we have a new group that will be venturing every couple months. They haven't been named yet, but yes, Ed Greenwood himself will be playing in Greyhawk. Okay, and I will be DMing for him, and I can't even fathom that this is going to happen. It's insane. Along with Tony Winslow Brill, who will be playing, and we have. I think I want to go with half elves with you and Anna. Is that all right, Anna?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That will be perfect. Yep. Mhm.
With half elven, so she'll have a half elven fighter mage.
Yeah.
Anna will have a half elven archer thief, a Len archer,
Yep.
which is cool. Good mix.
Yep.
Stella Luna will be a human female paladin of Heronius. Okay, from Keoland. Eric Boyd, yes, that Eric Boyd, the writer of all the deity books, will be playing a half ogre specialty priest of Heronius.
Wow. What a
Okay,
concept.
so
Yep.
yes, all right. Eric Mengi will be playing a halfling guardian, and also Ed hasn't gotten back to me yet, so I got to fill out the group with Ed's character. So we're working on that. But that doesn't end the story here. I don't have a banner for this. So Stella is playing in this, and everyone knows Stella and how great she is. Stella is working on the next Greyhawk stream. Okay. And I'm going to go where she's probably going to go. And of course, it's going to be like Blue Box. It's going to be a supplement to my campaign, so we can share NPCs, share stories, crossover characters, guest host on each other's games, just like we do a Blue Box. And she's going to have it based here. Northern Keeland and the Valley of the High Folk and the Vestby Forest. All right. And it's going to be a courtly knight / fae based, druidic based adventure,
Oh.
and it may be an all-female stream too, which would be really cool. So I've been working with her on the background on this, and I don't have a time frame for it, but thinking June, hopefully June, sometime in June, this will start up. I don't have a night for it either, what night she'll stream it, but just note that that's being worked on. Hey, thanks, Tombstone. Wow, 15 months. So that's another huge announcement that just has come together. So yeah, Stella is great, and this will be another fantastic Greyhawk stream, and we keep the Greyhawk world building up. So note that is coming as well. So I'm going to add the second giveaway. I have one of these. We'll give away a Border Watch. How's that sound as the second first winner? $25 gift certificate. Remember, it's not a coupon, it's a gift certificate. So you got to go in and redeem it as the credit to CSL Entertainment. And then the second winner, I will mail you out the Border Watch reprint. Okay? That way we have 2 giveaways tonight. Sound good? Hopefully everyone had fun tonight and just unbelievable stuff going on in the community. Hopefully you're all enjoying what's going on, and I'm looking forward to seeing this group come together for Tim's game on Friday. And just remember, I got a game tomorrow night, and it's not gonna be a lot of RP. It's a lot of combat going on in this. We're right in the middle of a big fight. So, but the STL files for your Gamescape are awesome. We'll be giving them away tomorrow night. So here we go. I'm going to close this out. Last call for the giveaways.
I also want to say that I'm going to be really mean. So their characters are going to suck.
You're keeping
like
that
real
3.
people.
Is there a Viking age era in Greyhawk? Well, I would say the Frost and Snow Barbarians, any of them are probably the most Viking because of their ship, right? Mike, what would you say? Maybe? Yeah.
Well, I would go 100 to 356 common years, probably their
Okay.
Yeah.
big era.
Yes, Patrick, 9 a.m. So you want to, Tim will get with you. You want to be on 8:30 in the morning on to the Zoom for those players. Okay. Yeah. We want to get on and make sure
The
everything's
stories
prepped up.
are awesome and the characters are awesome, but the roles will tell.
Oh,
Yeah. So definitely, it's going to be fun, and it's good because it's all first level. So Ed's group is going to start around 3rd or 4th. I haven't finalized that yet. I'm working on that, but it'll be around that level to start out, and it'll be based out of Altamira to start. So I'm going to give Ed a taste of what I've created in Greyhawk and see what he thinks of it. So I know, it's just a crazy time. So here we go. I'm going to close this out. All right, ready? Winner number 1. This is for the $25 gift certificate, and I will get it to you either tonight or tomorrow morning. I have it, but I will. Rocks. There you go, Rocks. Good to see you winning. Congrats, Rocks.
Awesome.
Great to see you win, Rocks. Congrats, man. Second winner. This is for the reprint. I will need your address if I don't have it. The winner is Asher. There you go, Asher. Hopefully you're feeling better. Will there be severed tongues in Tim's new campaign? I think that will be the least of their worries is severed tongues in Tim's new campaign.
There's always severed tongues.
Yes. By the way, so you've seen this, and Rob, did you get yours yet, Phantom? I did ship it out on Monday, so you may have gotten it today. You may get it tomorrow. But Gary Julian has requested, Tim, a Mongrels of the Putrid Tongue coffee mug.
Oh.
So I'm gonna have to get that mongrel shield on one of these. So
I need Tim merch.
Yeah.
I need to donate to his college fund, his kids' college fund.
So we'll work on some fun stuff like that. And
The mongrels.
yes, holy cow! What's the holy cow about there? Yeah, you like that there, Chuck? See, there you go. Hey, Vistaprint, man, a huge sale. So
It looks like it's made for orange juice.
it's made to just enjoy the. I'm gonna put
Made to hide your whiskey and it looks so innocuous.
Yes, look,
Whis-
and there's a
kumquat.
kumquat,
Yeah,
kumquat
kumquat
on
whiskey.
there.
Yeah.
So there you
Perfect
go. The kumquat
disguise.
is on. We will work on other heraldry on mugs, as we go and as things happen. How about? Hey, look, I got 10 of them, and I'll be giving them away. I promise I'll be giving them out to the community. I don't think I'm going to sell them. I don't have enough, but I'll be giving away during giveaways. So you will see some of them out there. All right, I promised Dr. Faust. He was a great painter. Because I messed up on the raid, and DM Samuel was logging off when I logged on. I'm going to raid into Dr. Faust. He's a great painter. He's level like Mike Disney, so we're going to raid into him this week. Okay, so let's thank you for a great night, and just note. Stay in touch. Stay in touch on the Cannon Fire. Stay in touch on Greyhawk Online. Stay in touch in the Virtual GreyhawkCon Discord and all the sites that we all look at. David's blog, Tommy John Kelly's blog, Mike's blog. It's still up. It's got a lot of great content in it. So just keep the faith here. Things are going very well. Let's keep the momentum going for the whole community. And we got more streams coming now. We got Sean's Parentland coming. We got Wiley's, and we also have Wu Tang's on Sunday morning. We got John's. We got a lot going on. So let's keep, and of course Carlos and all his great content. So we have some wonderful, wonderful things going. Thank you. So let's raid into
you.
Dr.
Yep.
Faust now. All right. I'll see you tomorrow night, 7:30. Our game tomorrow night. Like I said, it'll be RP light, combat heavy RP light. So see you tomorrow night. Raiding in. Let me set the raid up.
I'm looking forward to that zero session. Never done it live.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool because it's just
no fudging. It's all on camera.
Yep.
Do they have to roll in order?
We're gonna do everybody's strength roll first. Then they're
Setting up the raid.
Oh, wow.
3d6, no.
I am giving
using
him one.
dice.
I'm giving him a few little things to help him not be disastrous.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow, let's keep it
Like
going.
a traveler.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow night.
It's like a traveler. They can die during character creation.
No, I don't want to do that. Casey sent me like 3 pages of just the history of the parents of the character.
Oh, awesome.
I haven't even got the character's history yet. It's like, okay, he
early.
comes from good